Chapter 361. The giant's head appeared. The 1,000-meter-tall giant was even more majestic than Mount Tai when it stood up. It covered the sky and the sun, and its roar could level the earth. This kind of creature exceeded the limits of the monsters that humans could imagine in myths and legends. All the cells in Jiang Li's body were trembling. He could feel the murderous intent. He knew that if he let the giant come out completely, who knew how many humans on Earth would die? He wanted to seal the black hole and seal the giant again. His current realm was already at the embryonic breathing realm. The use of energy was ever-changing, and he no longer relied on the innate Gang Qi. At this time, he also knew that the innate Gang Qi had its limits. It was just a trick in a small area. Using it on a large scale would cause the sky to change color. Sealing, suppressing, summoning, praying, controlling, and condensing all relied on energy. The innate Gang Qi was martial arts. Energy was magical power. There was an insurmountable gap between the two. Jiang Xinyue, now is not the time to fight. Quickly combine all the sacred embryos with me. I will use the strongest seal to seal this giant and the black hole. Jiang Li let out a long roar. His aura was like a rainbow. He displayed his true power. His aura was monstrous. He was like an undefeatable god of war. Jiang Xinyue gritted her teeth. Looking at the giant head, she knew that if she didn't act now, she would most likely die. She took the astral steps, and her steps were like dragons. Suddenly, her body was majestic. 9 beams of energy shot into Jiang Li's body like rainbows. The rainbows in her body had 9 colors. They were like ribbons, and they really had a great aura that could pierce through the sun and moon. The rainbows were tens of thousands of meters long, and they produced rumbling explosions in the air. They formed an energy channel that spun and flew like a space-time channel. Each of these 9 waves of energy could destroy a mountain. However, the moment they came into contact with Jiang Li's body, they disappeared into his body. Jiang Li's body immediately shone brightly. He stepped in all directions, and he was as mighty as the celestial emperor. With a palm strike, the sky and earth changed color, and it collided with the 1,000-meter-tall giant's palm. Rumble. Jiang Li absorbed the giant's attack energy. His body quickly converted it, and then it was ejected through his own cells. Immediately, water, fire, wind, and lightning formed runes and seals, shrinking the passageway. You dare to seal the passageway? You will die without a doubt. The giant's body wanted to drill out, but the passageway had already shrunk. Its head was stuck on the surface of the sea. This caused the 1,000-meter-tall giant to be extremely enraged, and the mental waves it emitted set off waves of frenzied waves. We will definitely descend on this planet and kill all living beings on it. Damn it, this thing is really brutal. I'm afraid sealing it won't work. I have to kill it. A 1,000-meter-tall giant. The quasi-deity's bloodline in its body is definitely very pure. If I kill it and purify it, I will definitely be able to improve further. I might even be able to break through to the next realm and reach the second realm of the embryonic breathing realm, the divine breath realm. The energy behind Jiang Li condensed into a huge figure, displaying all kinds of fist techniques, fiercely bombarding the giant's hands and head on the sea surface. With Jiang Xinyue's support, his attack power had increased by at least a few times, and he could even defeat a master in the meditative state. Kill. His hands seemed to be able to grasp the entire ocean. The combination of the great emperor's watermark and the power of the ocean gave him the power to cross the ocean. Rumble. The huge handprint collided once again, clashing with the palm of the 1,000-meter-tall giant. Both of their martial arts teachings were very exquisite, seizing the creation of heaven and earth. This giant's martial arts teachings were very mysterious. It also emitted energy, and when it attacked casually, it was like a dragon or a tide, like a ghost or a god, like the Great Way. It struck, hammered, hooked, pulled, shook, slapped, exploded, pointed, stabbed. All kinds of techniques were at the pinnacle. The energy was concentrated, and the chi was like gossamer. This kind of martial arts teachings already had the profoundness of seizing the creation of heaven and earth. As for Jiang Li, the more he fought, the more comfortable he felt. He had absorbed many of the giant's soul memories, and he also had a lot of martial arts experience. He had been worrying about the lack of actual combat experience. Now that he was fighting with the giant, with Jiang Xinyue's support, the aura in his whole body was surging, and the energy he absorbed was much stronger than before. As the battle went on, Jiang Li actually gradually withstood the giant's attacks. At the same time, he could perfectly defend against every attack of the giant and transform the attack energy into runes outside his body. He could even absorb the giant's mental attacks. After successfully cultivating the Great Dream Seal, he was almost not afraid of any hypnosis or mental attacks, unless the level difference was too high. For example, if a sage tried to hypnotize him, he would not be able to withstand it. But if anyone in the meditative state tried to hypnotize him, the Great Dream Seal would dissolve it. The Great Dream Seal was the ancestor of hypnosis. It could reverse life and death and see through the mysteries of the universe. How could he be hypnotized by ordinary mental attacks? But a sage's mind could interfere with matter, and they could directly use their minds to tear his body apart. That was different. Illusory things could not break through the mysteries of dreams. But real mental attacks could destroy the foundation of his existence in the material world. Insignificant existence, microscopic creature, you can actually explode with such great power. Are you trying to seal my arrival and protect your world? Even as the battle raged on, the 1,000-meter-tall giant sent out a telepathic message. Your mental fortitude is commendable. Sadly, this universe is all about strength. We've invaded many worlds, and some of the creatures in those worlds have fought back even more fiercely than you. Sadly, we've still invaded them and devoured them. If willpower was useful, then what was the use of strength? If sacrifice was useful, then what was the use of cultivation? If passion was useful, then what was the use of schemes? So this is the end. Your fate is death. The last thought wave was finished. The middle-aged giant showed his might. The world seal in his hands instantly formed a strange oval pattern in the air, with a six-pointed star shining in the center. It seemed to be a magic array. Then, heaven and earth were opened. Cracks appeared in the sky, as if there were planes communicating. The entire universe turned dark, and the space above the sea seemed to have been cut off. Two worlds divide. The other party was using the power of the plane to cut off the space in this area, so that Jiang Li would be buried in the depths of the void, drifting forever, unable to find his way home. Not good. This is from a mysterious dimension from the Scion plane. The power of this plane even surpasses that of the fire dimension. We must not resist it. This is someone who has communicated with the will of the plane. Jiang Xinyue was shocked, and she felt a destructive power. Rumble. The seal that Jiang Li had painstakingly set up shattered, and a shadowy figure the size of Mount Tai appeared. It was roughly 3,000 meters tall, and it was none other than the middle-aged giant. He shot out of the sea, grabbed hold of the space around him, and then hurled himself out. Jiang Li and Jiang Xinyue were in that space. The situation was extremely dangerous. Right at this moment, an unexpected event occurred. A dozen or so people appeared off in the distance, some Westerners, some Easterners. Flickering lights flickered as they arranged themselves in a spell formation. Then they began to chant incantations that filled the air. One of them was Sidhu Bolong, who had just left. In addition to him, there were many other experts, the strongest of whom had a white beard. His aura was calm, distant, and profound, as if he were an ancient relic who had lived for tens of thousands of years. As soon as he arrived, he began to chant incantations that caused the ripples in space to stop. A look of astonishment appeared in the giant's eyes. The other experts acted together. Countless incantations descended, wrapping around the 3,000-meter-tall giant's body. The giant roared and struggled with all his might, but the incantations actually seeped into his body, as if they were devouring his power. A total of 13 meditative amnesia experts. And that old man is so strong. He's in the third level of the meditative amnesia realm, which means he's close to the saint level. Jiang Li was inwardly shaken. Then he and Jiang Xinyue flew towards Situ Bolong. Many thanks to you this time. Situ Bolong looked relieved to see that the two of them had escaped danger. If you hadn't killed so many giants and stalled the giant leader, who knows how many humans on Earth would have perished. The president has issued an urgent order for the top experts of the military to come. Even our ancestors are here. We have to seal the passageway to prevent the Scion giants from invading. Luckily you came. If not, the consequences would be unimaginable. Zhongli broke out in a cold sweat. Just thinking about it gave him a lingering fear. The 13 meditative amnesia experts had set up a flawless formation. They used incantations to trap the 3,000-meter giant. The giant roared, but the seal became stronger and stronger. In the end, the giant was sealed like a mummy, standing upright in the sea. "Empty God, seal!" the old man roared. Instantly, an earth-shattering energy surged. The black hole in the sea was sealed, and everything was calm. On the entire sea, there were only 1,000 giant corpses and a 3,000-meter giant sealed like a mummy. The giant couldn't move, but it kept roaring. It was terrifying. This giant is powerful. If I fought him alone, I could subdue him, but it would be difficult to stop him from destroying Earth. The old man looked carefully at the sealed giant and nodded. Then he looked at Jiang Li and Jiang Xinyue. "My two young friends, I am Situ Wudi, Senior Situ Wudi." Jiang Li looked at the old man who was closest to the Saint Realm. He couldn't see through his cultivation at all. He knew that the difference between their realms was too great. After all, there was a difference of 6 realms. Moreover, the meditative amnesia realm was stronger than the previous one, especially the last amnesia realm. One could forget worlds and merge into space. One's every move could even create space. Experts in the amnesia realm could create space treasures, space bags, space rings, and so on. This was also a space-folding technology that hadn't been developed yet. You two are really outstanding. In a few decades, I'll be inferior to you two. The future era will be your era. Situ Wudi said, "Come, let me introduce you. This is Marshal Tasha, this is Marshal Zigo, and this is Marshal Luindi." He introduced the experts present one by one. Every one of them was a marshal. These marshals were very polite. They sized up Jiang Li and Jiang Xinyue and clicked their tongues in wonder. They weren't fools. Naturally, they could see their strength. Chapter 362. Everyone here was a big shot. Every one of them would cause a stir on Earth. If they all came, everyone on Earth would be in a frenzy. "These corpses are worth a fortune, but you two killed them." "We don't want them," Situ Bolong said. "But the most valuable one is this 3,000-meter tall giant. He's been sealed by us, so we could do a lot of experiments on him. We can even get a lot of secrets from him. Scion giants aren't good at technology, but they cultivate their bodies and have a deep understanding of the plane. This giant's value can't even be compared to 1 trillion star dollars." Marshal Lewis and he walked over. "We have to work together to suppress him. His combat power is almost limitless, and he's good at extracting energy from the dimension. If we can make him listen to us, control him, and refine him into a combat puppet, we humans will have an expert equivalent to at least the 3rd level of the meditative god realm. Yes, ordinary people at the 3rd level of the meditative god realm can't do anything to this giant. If I hadn't learned the space god forbidden spell and had your help, I wouldn't have been able to subdue this giant," Situ Wudi said. "This giant is very dangerous. Even if we refine him into a combat puppet, if we don't control him well, he might break the seal and reappear. He'll be able to cause a bloodbath among the humans." "We'll see," Situ Wudi said. "Now, we have to send this giant to the main God Planet Supreme Council. We'll decide how to split this fortune." "This giant is indeed a fortune." Jiangli nudged Situ Bolong and sent a psychic wave over. "Mr. Bolong, I can maximize the benefits of this giant. These people are all Westerners. We can't let them take advantage of us. Maximize what benefits?" Situ Bolong didn't understand. "The most important thing for a giant is the quasi-god bloodline in his body," Jiang Li said quietly. "If we can obtain the quasi-god bloodline, we'll have control of all the giant's wealth and energy." The remaining body will be useless. I've already comprehended some of the mysteries of the quasi-god bloodline. If we can refine it secretly, won't there be no problems? There's such a thing, but refining the giant's quasi-god bloodline is a little difficult. I know some of the Scion giant's secrets. Sita Bolong was also excited. The quasi-god bloodline can't be absorbed by humans. It's like swallowing a nuclear bomb. Don't worry, I can absorb it. Jiangli asked Situ Bolong to look at the 1,000 giant corpses on the sea. Look at these giant corpses. They weren't injured at all. They died without a cause. I sucked away their quasi-deity blood and souls. Can you really absorb souls and bloodlines? Situ Bolong was also carefully observing the giants. He sent out his psyche power and found that each giant's body was empty. Not only did they not have a soul, but they did not even have a bloodline. Each giant was just an empty shell. Originally, the greatest value of these giants was their quasi-deity bloodline and soul. Of course, their bodies weren't bad either and could be used for genetic research or as specimens. However, they were far inferior to their bloodline and soul. I'm afraid this 3,000-meter giant won't be easy to deal with. We can all see that it's a huge resource. We're not fools to turn it into an empty shell. After thinking about it, Situ Bolong still felt that it was not appropriate. This thing should be sent to the parliament according to procedure. Then, the highest military department and the parliament members will discuss what to do. That's a pity. Jiangli also knew that it would be difficult to absorb the giant's bloodline and soul in front of everyone, so he could only give up. However, he felt that it was a pity. This giant's bloodline was pure and his martial arts were tyrannical. If he absorbed it, the benefits would be too great. He could even use this chance to break through. Even if he couldn't break through, he could condense an incarnation, a second primordial spirit. He could implant his own cells and hide them in the dark, turning them into a trump card. The bloodline and soul of 1,000 giants couldn't compare to the bloodline and soul of a 3,000-meter giant. No amount of soil could compare to a diamond. He immediately gave up on that thought. After all, he had gained a lot this time. Not only had his psyche power and life force been greatly improved, but his cells had also been strengthened by the Scion bloodline. His own shadow had gradually appeared in the depths of his cell cores. This meant that his life imprint was strengthening. In the future, as long as he cultivated again, he could split a cell, and that cell would gradually grow into a new version of himself, possessing his own memories and life. This was the so-called thousands of incarnations. However, he was far from being able to do this now. He still had to cultivate hard. Although the passage has been sealed by us, it isn't stable. If the strong Scion giants attack again, they can still break the passage, a marshal said. There's no other way. We can only let the saints come and seal it. We humans are no match for the Scion giants. Earth has already been targeted by the Scion giants. I'm afraid there will be many disasters in the future. Situ Woody was a little worried. We can only report this to the president and have the Congress pass a study to migrate the humans on Earth in large numbers. Otherwise, when the giants invade, all humans on Earth will die. Moreover, there are many such passages on Earth. Apart from the Scion giants, there are many other powerful races invading. As time passes, more and more alien civilizations will invade. Earth will be lost sooner or later, Situ Bolong said. We can only migrate and leave this troublesome place. No, Jiangli objected. Earth is our mother planet, our foundation. Once we lose it, we will lose our most fundamental thing and become a nomadic race. If we don't migrate, are we going to watch all humans on Earth die? You've seen the power of the giants. We have to work together to seal a 3,000-meter-tall giant. What if it's a 10,000-meter-tall giant? Who can stop it? Marshal Lewis Andy said calmly. There's no other way. Young man, if you can think of a good way to stop the giant's invasion without casualties, we will definitely not give up on Earth. Yes, migrating away from Earth doesn't mean giving up. It's a temporary retreat. When humans become stronger, we will take Earth back. Situ Bolong also agreed to give up on Earth. Earth is a boundary point with many secrets. It would be a pity to give up just like that. I don't advocate giving up on Earth. Of course, I know it will be difficult to stop the giants. Zhongli didn't insist. This is an important matter for the entire human race. It needs to be discussed and decided by the President and Congress. Moreover, there are tens of billions of humans on Earth now. It won't be easy to migrate all of them. Where will they live? Where are the suitable places? All of this needs to be discussed. Indeed, this is a big problem. As the higher-ups of humanity, we can't always think about ourselves. We have to protect our race. The prosperity of our race is our foundation, Situ Wudi said. Let's send the giants to the chief god planet first. Secretly monitor this place. Looks like we have to let the saints take action. Our power is no longer enough to protect Earth. Jiang Xinyue and I will continue to monitor here. I will transport these corpses back to the Red Emperor Corporation for research. They can be used to create many powerful things. The flesh and bones can even be used to make magic treasures. Zhongli obviously wouldn't let go of the thousands of corpses here. Although the essence of these corpses have been lost, the flesh and blood still contained extremely powerful energy. They could be used to make biological crystal cells or even a copy of the Zerg mother nest. Zhongli used the flesh and blood to make a small mother nest. We will leave immediately. You guys stay here and guard. Suddenly, a cloud flew out from Sidawudi and enveloped the 3,000-meter-tall giant. Then, the cloud shrank and turned into a sphere that fell into his palm. It was obviously a spatial magic treasure. People like him could already cultivate spatial magic treasures. Of course, he had the ability to create spatial magic treasures. What do we do now? Once these people left, Jiang Xinyue lost some of her hostility towards Zhongli. It seemed that the battle just now had resolved some of the grudges. Zhongli didn't answer her. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes in deep thought. His mind once again connected with the distant universe. Through the Great Emperor's relic, he connected with Little Thearka's thoughts. He could feel that Little Thearka's thoughts were intermittent. Little Tharch, I have encountered a problem. How should I deal with it now? He passed on everything that had happened just now. After a long time, Little Tharch finally emitted a fluctuation. She was actually a little happy. Good, this is a very good thing. The Scion Giants are one of the strongest races in the universe. Their bloodline is also very unique. It is filled with energy and has the best body and the strongest vitality. It is the blueprint that countless races fight over, especially the insect clan. They love to eat the flesh and blood of the Scion Giants. Now, I will teach you how to build a new mother nest. You have already advanced to the embryonic breathing realm. You can start to use it. As expected, I can build a new mother nest. Zhongli was just thinking about the use of these corpses. Little Tharch confirmed his thoughts. The insect clan is actually a life form created by the Creator. Any life form, as long as it isn't void, can be created. When humans mate, they can create humans. Artificial humans, test tube babies, and new life forms are all very normal. Now, I will teach you some of the secrets of the insect clan's genes. Based on the genes, you could build a new mother nest. Of course, this mother nest won't be as strong as the original, but you will have your own foundation. As he spoke, waves of mental energy were transmitted over. Countless data, genetic diagrams, and profound mysteries of living beings bombarded Zhongli's soul. Fortunately, his soul source had greatly increased. Otherwise, his head would have exploded. Chapter 363. Zhongli knew a lot about the genes of the bug race, how to create them, how to convert energy, and how to activate cells. After a while, he digested the knowledge and thought about it carefully. His eyes lit up. Pooh! He spat out a breath of air onto the surface of the sea. Instantly, a raging fire ignited on the surface of the sea. The fire was azure in color and seemed mysterious. There seemed to be many ghosts leaping up and down within it, as if the souls in the depths of hell were being tormented by the fire. This is... Jiang Xinyue was shocked. This is soul fire. You use your own energy to infuse your psychic power into it. It said that this kind of fire can reshape a person's soul and reincarnate in a corpse. But the price to pay is that it will consume psychic power and the source of your soul. What are you doing? My soul's source is too strong. Zhongli didn't even turn his head. I absorb the souls of hundreds and thousands of giants. Much of the psychic power is stored in my brain. It doesn't become my own, so I can't absorb it. This time, these giant corpses contain extremely strong energy. I can't waste it. I want to refine them into an earth-shattering treasure. Puffed. Earth-shattering treasure? I don't believe it. Jiang Xingyue didn't know why, but she couldn't stand Jiang Li. Just watch. Jiang Li wasn't in the mood to argue with her. He used his azure flames to sweep up all the corpses on the surface of the sea and toss them into the fire. The corpses were very strong, and even the high temperature couldn't melt them. Sparks flew when the guns hit them. But when they encountered Jiang Li's azure flames, they melted like snow. Even the bones were melted. Before long, the thousands of corpses melted and gradually shrank, turning into an embryo about an acre in size. It kept wriggling in the air. The embryo became smaller and smaller, becoming more and more crystalline. Finally, it was the size of an egg, made up of densely packed crystalline cells. Vaguely, one could see a small bug inside the egg-sized crystal. It was only the size of a maggot, and it was wriggling slightly, as if it wanted to absorb energy for its own use and grow stronger. So strong, it's turned into a mother nest embryo. Jiang Li looked at the crystal cell egg in his hand and smiled faintly. This was the embryonic form of the Zerg Queen, also known as the mother nest. Of course, this was just a replica, and it was far from complete. In the future, as long as it continued to absorb energy, flesh, and blood, it would be able to grow and grow. In the end, she became a true Queen Mother. Of course, this Queen Mother couldn't compare to the original Queen Mother, but it still had 1/3 of the original Queen Mother's power. A real Bug Queen could even lead an army of bug tribe to invade one plane after another and blaspheme gods. Even if the Bug Queen she created only had 1/3 of her power, she could still sweep through saints and be almost invincible. But now, Jiang Li was only a half-finished embryo, a piece of trash. Not only was it useless, but it also had to constantly absorb energy. Fortunately, Jiang Li didn't need to absorb energy anymore. He had absorbed enough energy, so he just needed to slowly refine it. That's right, my doppelganger. Jiang Li moved, and a golden giant rushed out of his body. This was a powerful existence that he had absorbed the excess blood and souls of the giants. But after thinking about it, he felt that it was a waste. This battle power wasn't as strong as the real body, so it wasn't very useful. So he shook his spirit, and the golden giant turned into a stream of light, which fused with the half-finished mother nest. The egg-sized mother nest increased in size by another third. What is this thing? Jiang Xingyue was a little curious. This is the so-called treasure you've refined? I think it's very ordinary. What do you know? This is the bug tribe's mother nest. Jiang Li's eyes flashed, and he said deliberately, "You should know what kind of terrifying existence the bug tribe is. I have a saint behind me who has obtained the bug tribe queen mother and is starting to hatch it. It has the ability to devour dimensions and blaspheme gods. No matter how strong Jiang Nalan is, can he fight against the bug tribe? I don't think so. I have obtained the bug tribe's technology, so why can't I sweep the Jiang family? I have blasphemed Saint Sa, and he will be drowned by the endless sea of insects. Do you want the bug tribe's technology? If you want it, I can give it to you. You're that good?" Jiang Xingyue didn't believe him at all. "Jiang Li, you are a sinister and cunning person, and you will do anything you want. Although I have joined forces with you this time, it is all for the sake of humanity. When humanity has stabilized, I will still kill you. You will never be able to kill me." Jiang Li said seriously, "In this battle, my aura and yours have merged together, and the entanglement is getting deeper and deeper. As the saying goes, we will prosper together, and we will suffer together. You should know how great the benefits and achievements of joining forces with me are. If we hadn't joined forces this time, we wouldn't have been able to suppress the 3,000-meter giant for so long, and we would have been killed long ago. No matter how glib your tongue is, it won't shake my determination to kill you." Jiang Xingyue didn't care about anything else. She only wanted to kill Jiang Li, but she didn't make a move now. She just paid close attention to the seal on the sea surface. The seal on the sea surface was very calm. The seal set up by Siddha Wudi and many meditative realm experts was no small matter. Zhongli also sat down cross-legged. His powerful mental power kept circulating, seeping into the sea surface and analyzing Siddha Wudi's space god forbidden seal. His mental power was originally 50 dimensional units, and after absorbing so many souls, it had now reached 60. Every time his mental power increased by 1-dimensional unit, it was a world-shaking achievement. He had increased it by 10, and the word abnormal wasn't enough to describe it. His vitality was still 100, but his cells had been strengthened, and his life source was very vigorous. He could release his life source and convert it into vitality to increase his data again, but it wasn't very meaningful. It was better to accumulate food and slowly become a king. Life source was the foundation and the source of lifespan. If he released all his life source and converted it into vitality, it was very likely that his lifespan would be shortened and he wouldn't be able to live for long. In the era of the nation, there was such a medicine. Originally, a person could live for 100 years, and after taking this medicine, they would become very powerful. However, they could only live for 3 years, and that was overdrafting their life source. Zhongli estimated that if he released all the life source stored in the depths of his cells, his vitality could reach 120. However, the price was that he would die of old age a year later. Now, he could maintain 100 vitality, and he could live for a few hundred years. Apart from that, he could even degenerate his vitality and convert it into vitality potential, which would allow him to live for a longer time. This was the so-called secretly reversing yin and yang. This was also the so-called going with the flow to become a human, and going against the flow to become an immortal. Zhongli was observing the space god forbidden seal, and at the same time, he was observing his cells and absorbing the giant's achievements. Suddenly, he seemed to have comprehended some true meaning. Thus, he took a deep breath and felt the vitality in his body start to condense, turning into drops of invisible life source that replenished his cells. His vitality began to drop. It dropped from 190, then to 80, and finally to 50 before it stopped. And he felt that the huge life source in the depths of his cells could allow him to resist the corrosion of time and increase his lifespan by another 200 years. He estimated that if he continued to live with 100 vitality, he could live for 800 years. And if he continued to live with 50 vitality, he could live for 1,000 years before dying. This was purely a feeling, but it was very sharp. In ancient times, there were some great sages, great Taoists, and old monks who could clearly sense their own lifespan and know when they would die. Accurate predictions could only be achieved when one's mental power reached a certain level. Jiang Xinyue was very curious. She only felt that Jiang Li's vitality was fluctuating very violently. It wasn't hidden, but it was changing, going against the flow. She knew that Jiang Li was comprehending his cultivation again, and his realm had greatly improved. Although she didn't want to let it go, she was extremely vigilant in her heart. Woo, woo, woo. Just as Jiang Li was comprehending the secret, a ghostly cry suddenly resounded in the sky. A powerful mental wave swept in all directions. Jiang Li hurriedly jumped up and saw a huge vortex appear in the sky. In the depths of the vortex, dense runes descended, once again sealing the space above the sea. This time, the seal was much stronger than Siddha Wudi's. The entire sea was in a frozen state, and the space became crystals, which then turned into runes. Then, distorted words appeared on the sea. These words weren't human words, and they danced excitedly, as if written by a god. Every stroke was like a divine dragon swinging its tail, inscribing an immortal mark in the air. The saint has made a move. Jiang Xinyue muttered to herself. The human saint has made a move and sealed the passage. Things are serious. It's really the work of a saint. His will traverse through space and time to arrive here. searching for the power of many primordial universes and condensing it into one, setting up an eternal seal. Zhongli knew that he was far inferior to this kind of method. This seal lasted for a full 2 hours. There was nothing on the sea. The passage was completely sealed. Then the saint's consciousness disappeared without a trace, and he didn't communicate with Zhongli. He didn't know which human saint it was, but it was definitely not Zhang Nailin, nor was it the six paths beep, beep, beep. Just as the saint left, Jiang Li and Jiang Xinyue received an email at the same time. It was jointly issued by the highest military department and the office of the president. Marshal Jiang Li, Marshal Jiang Xinyue, this passage has been sealed, but even the saint won't be able to seal it for long. The Scion giants have already noticed Earth, and they will open this passage again. When that time comes, Earth will be completely occupied. Now we're going to carry out a great retreat, and all humans living on Earth will be moved to another planet. This matter must be completed within 3 months. Immediately go to the capital and then do a series of work. The migration of all Asians on Earth will depend on you. Later, there will be a series of orders. Pay attention to them. What? Earth is really going to carry out a great migration. The office of the president and the Congress have made a decision so quickly. Zhongli knew that things were getting serious. Chapter 364. Abandon the entire Earth? Evacuate all the humans on Earth. Jiang Xinyue was also dumbfounded. This was an earth-shattering matter. There are tens of billions of people on Earth. How many resources? How many cities? How many technologies are to be relocated? This is the first time humans have done something like this. Can it be done? Will there be any loopholes? If something goes wrong, we'll be cursed for all eternity. A mass migration of people on a planet, and it was the mother planet. The birthplace of human civilization had to be abandoned? How big of a project was this? This was not the demolition of a city that could be completed on a small scale. The first was public opinion. Once this matter was announced, the public opinion would be in an uproar. Basically, it was impossible for the public to abandon Earth. It was an almost impossible task for the government to carry out the relocation under the pressure of public opinion. Even if they ignored public opinion, how would they relocate the assets of tens of billions of people? Where would they relocate? Humans' large warships could only carry tens of thousands of people, at most hundreds of thousands. How long would it take to relocate all of them? In addition, what about their assets? Logically speaking, tens of billions of people on Earth would have to give up all their assets and move. Who would agree to this? Zhongli thought that with human technology, it was already very difficult to relocate tens of billions of people, not to mention assets. Tens of billions of people on Earth had no assets. How would they be relocated? These people would most likely stay on Earth. He calculated the difficulty of the entire relocation in his mind and found that it was basically impossible. There were only 2 best places for humans to relocate. The first was planet Crooked Wave, and the second was planet Emperor. There were many ferocious beasts on planet Crooked Wave, and it was surrounded by primeval forests. If tens of billions of people were to relocate, most of them would die. Although Star Sky University was built on Emperor, the gravity was not suitable for humans on Earth. The average vitality of humans on Earth was only 0.85. To live comfortably on Emperor, one would need at least 2 vitality. In addition, the cultivation world was the most suitable for migration because its gravity was the same as Earth. It was vast and rich in resources. Unfortunately, Heavensville was vast. If humans migrated on a large scale, they would be crushed by Heaven's will in an instant. Tens of billions of people would die. No matter how Jiang Li racked his brains, he could not figure out what method the human government would use to carry out a mass migration of humans on Earth. Moreover, he felt that the decision made by the Congress and the presidential office was too hasty. They did not have to give up Earth. Humanity had so many saints. They could just kill them if aliens wanted to invade Earth. If aliens wanted to invade Earth, they could invade Earth. The Earth is undergoing a mass migration. This is irreversible. We cannot change it. We cannot change Congress's decision. We can't change it. We can't change Congress of Earth. We cannot change Earth. Jiang Xinyue thought for a while and said in a cold voice, Jiang Li, I won't kill you for now. This is a big issue for humankind. Once this is done, you will die. I don't agree to migrate. I want to defend Earth. Jiang Li acted as if he didn't hear Jiang Xinyue. What did you say? Jiang Xinyue felt that Jiang Li had gone crazy. Earth? I think you must be tired of living. The higher-ups definitely have their reasons for deciding on this matter. For such a major matter, they must have gone through a lot of research. The calculations of the master gods, AI, layer upon layer of calculations, planning, and meticulous planning. And just now, a 3,000-meter-tall giant appeared in the sealed passageway. You know how strong it is. We aren't its match. Although the Saints have temporarily sealed the passage, it is definitely not complete. If a 10,000-meter-tall giant rushes out, how can we stop it? You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot, overestimating yourself. What I mean is, even if it is impossible, I will be the last to leave Earth. Jiang Li said solemnly, this matter is too important. I should return to Beijing first and inform the higher-ups. It is not as difficult as you think. Jiang Xinyue looked at the seal on the sea. The higher-ups of humanity might have developed space-folding technology. With the help of space-folding technology, human migration would be an easy task. That is also possible. The government will not do something stupid. Jiang Li perked up. I will go first. He was in a hurry to inform his parents, the entire Red Emperor Corporation, and the higher-ups of the 36 cities. This matter had to be planned from the higher-ups first. During the migration process, there would definitely be a huge loss of profits. The Easterners and the Westerners would compete. This had to be balanced. Whoosh! He disappeared. Jiang Xinyue stomped her feet and also disappeared. After this battle, the hatred between the two seemed to have dissipated a little. Capital, on the island of the Red Emperor Corporation. Hong Heiyu was still there. He opened his eyes, looking both happy and sad. I already know about the migration. Is there really no way to save it? Jiang Li looked at the blue sea and blue sky, smelling the fragrance of the earth. He suddenly felt a sense of kinship. He did not want to leave this place. In fact, he wanted to become the consciousness of Earth. But now it seemed like wishful thinking. Earth was not ordinary. It might even be a node that connected many dimensions. Even the Saints could not understand its mysteries, let alone him. There is no other way. Hong Heiyu sighed. You know the wonders of Earth. It itself might be a treasure. Let's not talk about this. The Bermuda Triangle Giant Passage has been opened. Next, countless passages will open one by one. The entire Earth will become a battlefield for many powerful alien races. There will be no peace. Do you know why I came to Earth? Isn't it because of my sister Jiang Xian? Jiang Li felt that Hong Heiyu had a deeper meaning. I actually came for the alien creatures. Hong Heiyu stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling glass in front of the hall. He could see the beautiful scenery of capital through the sea. The highest military department reported that as early as last year, there were extremely powerful alien creatures sneaking in. They are carrying out a plan. It is very likely that there is a space-time tunnel here in capital. What? There is a space-time tunnel here in capital? Jiang Li was shocked. He thought about the information from the Special Affairs Unit and felt his hair stand on end. Capital was different from the Bermuda Triangle. It was densely populated. If an alien creature appeared and wreaked havoc, who knew how many people would die? Unfortunately, the alien creatures are too well hidden. No matter how we investigate, we can't find out what's going on. Hong Heiyu said, even when I used the Book of Changes, tarot divination, and all kinds of prophecies and trigrams, I couldn't find anything. But I have a feeling that this alien creature is carrying out a plan. It wants to activate the passage in capital and connect it to a dangerous place, causing the alien creatures to descend on a large scale. Even divination can't find anything. Jiang Li suddenly felt that the situation was serious. Divination was a way to predict the future. It was also one of the methods that human experts use to predict future changes and choose the right path. Using this method, humans had avoided countless disasters. You have mastered the 9 seals of the Great Emperor. The last seal is the Seal of Dreams. This Seal of Dreams has the ability to see through the rotation of the universe. Hong Heiyu said, when you enter dreams to predict, you can dream of countless changes in the future. You can predict where the alien creature in capital is. What is it carrying out? No divination could compare to the Seal of Dreams. The general outline of the Seal of the Great Emperor was that the Seal of Dreams could unlock a person's potential. It could also turn a weak person into a martial arts master in a dream. It could also add or delete memories in the depths of someone's mind. It could control the soul like a skilled chef cooking soup, and it could be done according to one's taste. Of course, Jiang Li's understanding of the Seal of Dreams was only superficial. He was only at the small success stage. He was still a long way from reaching the great success stage. If he wanted to reach the great completion stage, he would have to wait until he became a saint or even a god. This was the martial art of a god. All right, I'll enter the dream and perform the dream divination. Jiang Li felt that the situation was very serious. Before the great migration of Earth's humans, they had to carry out all sorts of cleanup activities and get rid of the extraterrestrial life forms hidden among the humans. Otherwise, if these extraterrestrial life forms incited trouble, the humans would definitely fall into internal strife. I also want to see how your dream divination compares to mine. Hong Heiyu was interested. Jiang Li sat down cross-legged. His hands changed into all sorts of strange and complicated hand seals. Just like that, he condensed them into one and turned them into a circle. It was like his heart, like the sky, like the earth, like the man. Wisps of mist emerged from his body like smoke and clouds in a trance. Jiang Li entered dreamland. When the Seal of Dreams was used, one's thoughts would fuse with the universe, passing through the past and the future. The river of time could not be broken through with physical power, but dreams could. Ordinary people could dream that they had traveled to the ancient times or appeared in the outside world. The power of dreams was the power of imagination. It could break through any obstacle. Ordinary people's dreams were so magical, not to mention Jiang Li, who had cultivated the Emperor's dream imprint. After entering dreamland, Jiang Li felt his surroundings change. He saw that he was in an imperial city. He had arrived in the ancient times. This imperial city was the forbidden city of Huaxia in ancient times. Jiang Li saw many emperors attending court here, accepting the worship of the civil and military officials. He also saw the fate of the entire court gathered in the Forbidden City. Then time passed. In the modern times, the Forbidden City had been built into a school. It was a university, the #1 university in Beijing, Huaxia University. The university occupied a vast area, and countless students studied in it. Finally, Jiang Li saw a familiar figure among the students. It was his best friend, Guomeng. Then he woke up. What did this dream represent? Chapter 365. Dream Divination, Dream of the Forbidden City, Dream of Huaxia University, and Dream of his best friend, Guomeng. What was going on? Originally, he was divining that the aliens had opened a space passage in the capital, but he dreamed of all these messy things. It could be said to be completely unrelated, but according to the trajectory of the dream imprint, there must be a connection between the two. Could it be that Huaxia University and my best friend, Guomeng, are related to the aliens? Jiang Li woke up from his dream and fell into deep thought. The dream divination could only give him this much information. Because his great dream imprint cultivation wasn't perfect, he could only dream about this much and couldn't show the original things. This was like using the book of changes to calculate the divination. According to the divination, the expert would make a judgment. Different cultivation would result in very different results. The same divination could even give a corresponding result. How is it? What's the result of the dream divination? Hong Heiyu was very patient, waiting for Jiang Li to finish thinking before asking. Nothing much, but there are some clues in the dream. It might be related to Huaxia University. Jiang Li's expression was a bit solemn. He didn't mention his best friend, Guomeng. After all, it was a dream, and his best friend, if he was related to aliens, his future would be ruined. For invading aliens, whether it was the government or the highest military department, they would rather kill the wrong person than let them go. In order to protect his best friend, Jiang Li could do his own investigation and find a way to resolve it. Huaxia University, this is troublesome. Hong Heiyu thought about it, and also felt that it was a bit tricky. The university is the place where public opinion is the strongest. In the era of the country, Huaxia University was the combination of the first and second universities of Huaxia. After entering the interstellar era, the ancient imperial city was also merged into the university. This is because the imperial city represents the bloodline of Huaxia civilization, and the university is a place of culture. Only by using the flow of people in the university can we suppress the imperial aura and prevent it from dissipating. Although Huaxia University isn't as good as Star University, it is still very important. If there are aliens lurking here, it really won't be easy to find them. In this case, you can go and investigate. If there is a space node in the capital, there is really no other place besides the imperial city. Hong Heiyu's words were very clear. Huaxia University was a place where people gathered. It was a place of learning and research. Even if the government wanted to investigate, they had to take it slow. They couldn't use simple and crude methods. Otherwise, public opinion would crush them. Moreover, there were countless scientific institutions in Huaxia University, which represented the highest level of human science and even military secrets. The entire university was secretly protected by the military. Then I can only go in and take a look. Zhongli thought for a moment. Only my dream imprint can observe a person's mind. It can even erase a person's memories and hypnotize many students. It can ensure that the people's hearts are at peace. Then go ahead. You must find the location of the space node. At the same time, find the alien creature. Don't act rashly and alert them. If you conceal it silently, it's best to get rid of it. If you can't get rid of it, then don't make a mess, Hong Heiyu warned softly, but he believed in Jiang Li's ability. I know that, but the overall situation is the most important. We can't let the alien creature cause damage in the city. Jiang Li naturally knew this. Moreover, it's better for me to investigate this matter first. Don't alarm the military and make them panic. That's even better. In fact, the military station on Earth doesn't have a single expert. What big things can they do? Hong Heiyu shook his head. By the way, let me tell you something. The passage to Bermuda was personally sealed by President Sloak. However, this seal won't last long. You still have to be careful. Impossible. The one who sealed the passage to the Bermuda Triangle giant should be a saint. That huge power, it's definitely a saint. Jiang Li was stunned. The president is only in the realm of meditation. How can he have the cultivation of a saint? This is the privilege of the president. Hong Heiyu said, this is also the foundation of human society. The Lord God's AI controls the world's internet ports and people's identity information. The human government can control 51% of the power. Every 4 years, the entire human race votes. Whoever has the most votes will be the president. At the same time, the Lord God's AI will automatically hand over the 51% of power to him. With the Lord God's AI, the president can be on equal footing with a saint. His cultivation will also be greatly improved. However, as long as he loses the votes and retires from the position of president, he will lose his power. I see. Only now did Jiang Li understand how important the Lord God's AI was to humanity. The president had to have power. Otherwise, who would listen to him? Where did the power come from? It came from the AI. Why did the AI give him power? It had to be recognized by the entire population. Although the power of the AI would be gone after every president retires during their 4 years in office, with the help of the AI, their cultivation would improve greatly. Jiang Li, in a few years, you can also run for president. Or maybe me, but you have to make contributions for humanity and win the hearts of the people. After becoming president, with the support of the Lord God's AI, your cultivation will improve by leaps and bounds. Hong Heiyu reminded, this is an opportunity. You have to turn the tide in a disaster or perform outstandingly. I know. Teacher, I'll be going now. There's no time to lose. If the extraterrestrial life forms really manage to open a spatial node like the Bermuda Triangle, then things will get out of hand. Jiang Li's body swayed, and he disappeared. In the next moment, he silently appeared in front of Huaxia University's gate. Huaxia University was huge. It occupied a vast area of more than 100 square kilometers. Ancient red walls and yellow tiles that belonged to the era of the country stood tall in the school, displaying an ancient aura. Apart from that, there were also many sci-fi buildings. The entire university was in a state of full automation. There were flying cars piloted by robots shuttling through the university. But compared to Starry Sky University, there was a difference. Starry Sky University was completely automated. For example, if you were to stand here, a wave of energy would suddenly envelop you, and you would be transported to another place. And here, it was still automated, so you had to take a flying car. Even so, this university was known as the #1 university on Earth. On the university campus, there were mountains hundreds of meters above sea level. They were man-made. The mountains were beautiful, surrounded by clouds and mist. In addition, there were gardens, lakes, and other scenic spots. Jiangli had never been to Huaxia University before. He didn't expect it to be so magnificent. When he was in school, he had only been to Jinghua City High School. But high school was high school after all. How could it compare to university? Although many outstanding talents went to Starry Sky University, Huaxia University also had many outstanding talents. After all, not everyone could get into Starry Sky University. Even if they did get into Starry Sky University, after a year of study, many of them would fail the exam and drop out. These people could also enter Huaxia University and still be the pride of the heavens. In fact, Huaxia University also had shares in Huaxia University. Huaxia University had always wanted to build a school comparable to Starry Sky University. This was the headquarters of Huaxia University. There were branches of Huaxia University everywhere on Earth, even in many human bases. But Starry Sky University was the only university designated by the human government. Huaxia University was congenitally deficient and couldn't compare. Huaxia University in the capital had 8 gates, divided into the 8 trigrams, Qian, Kuan, Can, Li, Dui, Zhun, Jian, Sun. At the same time, it coincided with the 8 formation chart, life and death, shock and injury, Du Jinkai. This was the perfect combination of ancient feng shui and modern architecture. Jiangli entered from the Qian Gate, which was the authentic gate of Huaxia University. There were many students going in and out, their faces brimming with youth. Some were single, some were couples holding hands. Jiangli felt that he didn't fit in with this atmosphere. But Jiangli was about the same age as them. Logically speaking, he should be in his 4th year. It had been almost 3 or 4 years since he graduated from an expert. He was also a 4th-year student at Starry Sky University. But along the way, his cultivation was fast. Although he was only in the first realm of the embryonic breathing realm, he could resist meditation, conduct human nuclear explosion experiments, and become a military marshal, a cornerstone of humanity. He had surpassed Starry Sky University. Ever since he obtained the status of a marshal, he was no longer a student of Starry Sky University. The status of a marshal was equal to that of the principal of Starry Sky University. A marshal was the most powerful force in human society. It was equivalent to the feudal officials in ancient times, or the ministers of the 6 ministries, the ministers of the imperial study, or the prime minister. The saints didn't appear. The top power of human society was meditation, and meditation had the status of a marshal. With Jiang Li's current status, it was more than enough to be the principal of Huaxia University. At the same age, these people in front of him were still students, but he was already thinking and planning for the future of humanity. He even saved humanity once. At this moment, his state of mind had also changed. He felt that the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. The students in front of him lived happily and passionately, forming a happy and sincere beauty. Couples added the sweetness of love to the school life. Jiangli took a deep breath. He seemed to feel the vitality of all living beings. He could imagine that once the Great Migration was carried out, the ordinary lives of these people would be destroyed, and there would be no happiness to speak of. Think about it. Dragging one's family, without any assets, moving to a foreign planet, without food and water. What should he do? Thinking of this, Jiangli clenched his fists, feeling that he had the responsibility to protect these people. I'm still not strong enough. Jiangli thought to himself, if I was strong enough, if I was a god, I could open up a divine kingdom and envelop the earth. No one would be able to invade. This would allow the race to develop, grow, and occupy a place in the universe. He stepped into the campus from the main entrance. Originally, to enter the campus of Huaxia University, one must go through the photon computer to scan one's identity chip. If one wasn't a university student, the police would immediately come to question them. If one was a criminal, the campus defense system would knock him out. However, when Jiangli entered the campus, the photon computer scanned the martial chip and automatically sensed it. It wouldn't stop him at all. This was the highest level of authority. Moreover, Jiangli could set his own access and not be recorded by the photon computer. In other words, when Jiangli entered the university, the photon computer would automatically let him pass without recording him. This was the authority of a marshal. He even had a place in the photon computer of the Lord God. Chapter 366. Entering the university campus, a strong academic atmosphere came to his face. Jiangli took a deep breath of the air and could feel the joy in his spirit. There was a throbbing in the depths of his soul, as if he had absorbed some wisdom. That is when qi. Qi is a very mysterious thing. It can be said to be some profound meaning at the spiritual level. Any holy land of humanities with a long history will have the existence of qi. If it is absorbed by people, their spirit will be agile and their mind will be clear. Some poets can suddenly have inspiration in the land of humanities and write good poems. Actually, at this point, Jiangli could already tell what the scholarly aura was. It was the result of many scholars pondering over knowledge over a long period of time. Over time, it would gather into a spiritual force that contained profound wisdom. This was the scholarly aura, and also known as the movement of scholars. In ancient times, people looked to qi. That kind of first-class article, qi soars into the sky, gorgeous and magnificent. Every word shines brightly. Not to mention a college, a university. Especially in modern society, there are many students. When they gather together, when qi is no small matter. If Jiangli used the great Emperor Dream Seal, he could absorb the one fate here and transform it into his own mental energy and intelligence. But he didn't do this. The one fate here was a fortune, and as time went by, under the influence of the one fate, many geniuses would appear. This student, come and join our ancient Zither Club. Come and join our martial arts club. Our president is one of the top 10 martial arts experts in the university, Guoming. Senior Guoming's vitality has already reached 5, which is not inferior to the student masters of Star Sky University. Come to our spirit cultivation club. There is a senior hypnotist who comes to give regular lectures. The calligraphy club is recruiting. Feng Shui club. Feng Shui, understanding dragon veins, nourishing the qi of heaven and earth. At the gate of the university, many student clubs are recruiting people. This is the style of learning that has continued since the era of the state. In the university, there are many clubs spontaneously formed by various students, including Qin, Go, calligraphy, painting, martial arts, spiritual cultivation, and even the ancient Jinan Dao, Feng Shui theory, Book of Changes divination, all have special clubs to study. At the same time, a university club or even a research group often produces scientific results. Some clubs are even a large company with special financial support outside. In short, the university's clubs had developed to a considerable extent. As soon as Jiangli arrived at the school gate, the outer members of these societies came to pull him into their group. There were many beautiful female students among them. There was also an extremely handsome boy. Jiangli paid a little attention, and countless voices entered his ears. After analyzing them, he heard the 2 words Guoming. Guoming is his best friend. Last time, he gave him a sum of money, and his life has been greatly improved. Then, he diligently studied and cultivated and was admitted to Huaxia University from Tsinghua University. Tsinghua University is just a second-rate university. It can't be compared with the super-class Huaxia University. But as long as the students have excellent results in Tsinghua University, they can also apply to study in Huaxia University, but they have to take a strict examination. It seemed that his best friend was doing well in Huaxia University. He went straight to the front of the martial arts club. This club had the most members and was full of talents. To be able to become the leader of a martial arts club of Huaxia University, he must not be a simple character. Hey, do you want to join the martial arts club? Our martial arts club does not randomly recruit people. You must first go through our layers of assessment and then pay a certain fee. A slender, at least one, 9 meters beautiful girl was in charge of recruitment. She looked at the approaching Jiang Li and slightly sized up Jiang Li. What are the conditions to join the club? Jiang Li smiled. First of all, your vitality must exceed 1. Next, you must be proficient in at least 3 C-rank martial arts. You must also have a certain amount of fighting experience. After that, you must pay a membership fee of 5,000 star dollars. Then, you can join our martial arts club. After joining the club, we will provide professional expert training. Then, you will also have a variety of tasks to earn rewards. We can cooperate with the army and police, and even have the opportunity to explore the outer planets. The beautiful girl introduced. I am the person in charge of recruitment. My name is Tian Meng. The martial arts club's recruitment is too strict. Jiang Li deliberately said, I am a new student. This is the first time I heard of such harsh conditions. Also, you said that your president, Guo Meng's vitality is 5? That's impossible. So you are a new student. The martial arts club's recruitment staff laughed. It seems that you are not very familiar with our Huaxia University's influential figure. President Guo Meng is one of the few big figures in our school. Can I see him? Jiang Li made a request. I'm afraid you can't. Tian Meng waved her hand. President Guo Meng is too busy. He is also a director of several large companies. Basically, he does not return to school. But if you join our martial arts club, you will have the opportunity to listen to his lectures. How about this? I don't think you have the vitality. First, register as a reserve member of our martial arts club and participate in a series of learning. You first pay 10,000 star dollars. Sorry, I don't want to participate. Jiang Li waved his hand and left. How could he play this kind of child's play? He just heard that Guo Meng was the president of the martial arts club and wanted to inquire about it. I have to say, new student, you have missed a good opportunity. Tian Meng's eyes showed some regret, but she did not ask him to stay and continued to recruit. Although I gave Guo Meng a sum of money, enough for him to live a carefree life for the rest of his life, I am afraid it is still impossible for him to develop to this extent. Vitality of 5 is not a small number. It can only be achieved with a lot of resources. Did he have some fortuitous encounter? Or is it really related to extraterrestrial life? I originally wanted to see him, but it seems that I can't now. I don't want to alert the enemy. The vitality of extraterrestrial life is extremely strong. I will go to the original Imperial City to take a look. Jiang Li pondered and divined in his dream. Since he dreamt of the ancient Forbidden City, then the space-time tunnel must be here. Although his great Emperor seal had not been cultivated to perfection, the dream imprint would not be wrong. This was him seeping through space-time and dreaming of the various changes in the past and future. He strolled leisurely in Huaxia University's campus. The campus was huge. Even if he took a flying car, it would take a lot of time. After all, the radius of 100 square kilometers was equivalent to the territory of county. His speed was extremely fast. Although there were many surveillance cameras in the campus, they could not capture his figure. Moreover, his martial medal was connected to the optical computer, so he could easily connect to the campus network and eliminate the surveillance. After a while, he came to a place that looked like a huge palace. The ancient city walls, the square, and the houses showed the majesty of an emperor. This was the ancient imperial palace, the Forbidden City. But now, it had been renovated and restored to its original ancient appearance with modern technology. It was almost exactly the same as the palace in the heyday of ancient times. The ancient aura of history exuded from this imperial city. No one lived in the imperial city, and there were no students. It was a historical relic in the university and a tourist attraction. In an instant, Jiang Li's spiritual power enveloped the entire imperial city. With his spiritual power, He could even find the bacteria in the entire imperial city. In an instant, the layout of the imperial city appeared clearly in his mind. Zhongli only felt an ancient, majestic aura. Moreover, the cultural aura of the entire university was condensed in the imperial city, causing the imperial city to have a more and more intense feeling. This kind of aura was almost greater than the dynasty of the feudal era. What's going on? The cultural aura of Huaxia University is actually gathering in the imperial city? Zhongli frowned. If it wasn't an expert like him, it would be impossible to discover this point. The cultural aura represented order, and the emperor was the source of the world's order. All dynasties used scholars to be officials, control the people, and then educate the world to maintain stability. From a virtual perspective, a dynasty that was flourishing with the cultural aura also represented the great rule of the world. If the dynasty went downhill, there would be a collapse of etiquette. The imperial court held an imperial examination, and scholars gathered in the imperial court. This was also a symbol of maintaining the dynasty's order. In the modern era, there was no dynasty. Logically speaking, the imperial aura should have disappeared as well. But this imperial city was built in Huaxia University. For 100 years, it had continuously absorbed the cultural aura of the university's students through feng shui, causing the imperial city to be even more majestic than the feudal era. What kind of concept was this? Why do they do this? Zhongli thought and observed. Suddenly, he realized that the entire imperial city was like a cultivator, a sleeping emperor that was about to awaken. Once awakened, the world would be turned upside down. A building actually gave off such a feeling. What was it? Could it be that someone purposely set this up, using the excuse of maintaining the imperial city's original appearance? Zhongli observed over and over again. Actually, they want to use the cultural aura here to gather energy and open a space-time tunnel to allow some kind of alien creature to descend. That's not impossible. Unfortunately, I'm not in the true realm of meditation, so it's hard for me to observe the surrounding space-time distortion. He sighed. The true realm of meditation was still higher than his, and they could observe the situation in the dimension at will. But he couldn't. After observing for a long time, he only felt that the cultural aura was gathering towards the imperial city. There was nothing strange. Jiang Li's mind seeped into the ground, but he didn't find any abnormalities. He observed like this until the sky turned dark. He didn't see anything wrong, but he knew that there was definitely something wrong with this place. Of course, he couldn't see it. If he could see it in a short time, then many experts would be able to see it. There's something strange here, but I can wait here. I'll wait here. Since the alien creature has infiltrated Huaxia University, it will definitely come to the imperial city to set up a formation. Usually, night is the best time for all kinds of activities. Zhang Li sat in a corner and retracted his mind. He entered a state of silence. He was afraid that if he released his mind, it would be sensed by other experts. When night fell, the entire Huaxia University was brightly lit. There were all sorts of men and women studying, as well as couples dating in quiet places. Jiang Li sat alone in a forest outside the imperial city. In the distance, there were a few men and women hugging each other, but they didn't pay attention to him. Chapter 367. In the dead of night, couples went back in groups of 2s and 3s. The campus quietened down, but Jiang Li didn't leave. He was still observing the imperial city in the distance. After the hustle and bustle, the imperial city seemed to have calmed down. The human chi in the surroundings continued to swirl, then seeped into the depths of a certain space, as though it was nourishing the ancient seal. There must be something mysterious here. If I wait here, I'll definitely find traces of the extraterrestrial creature. There's no hurry. Zhongli was very calm. He didn't think of a way to destroy the chi here. Everything was done in silence. He knew that the extraterrestrial creature was very strong. Its vitality was 80. Once it discovered danger, it would go berserk, and the whole university would be destroyed. Although the university had a weapon defense system, it couldn't be compared to the Starry Sky University. An expert in the embryonic breathing realm could do whatever he wanted here, let alone meditative state. A bright moon hung high above his head. The moonlight was like a wash, gently shining on his body. He absorbed the essence of the moon. Every cell was very clear. With his current means, he didn't need any tools. He could directly fly to the moon with his body, but it would take some time. When he had advanced to the embryonic breathing realm and absorbed the nuclear explosion, he had this kind of energy. These days of practice, he had improved even more, especially after killing many giants and absorbing their blood and souls. His cultivation had reached an unbelievable realm. He was only one step away from breaking through the realm and entering the second realm of the embryonic breathing realm, the divine breath realm. Someone's coming. His mind moved. He noticed two figures walking over from afar. He shifted his attention and realized it was a university couple. They were arguing, but he didn't know what was going on. Maybe they were not on good terms. Moon Immortal, do you really want to do this? Break up with me? Sure, Biao. Don't think I don't know that you have been fooling around with other women. 3 days ago, you called me and said you were going out for work. In the end, you got a room with a woman called Zhu Xia. Also, you went to the nightclub to fool around last night. Do you think I don't know? These are all social engagements. My business is so big. Naturally, I have to socialize. You have to understand. Those women are just putting on a show. Get lost. Don't pull me. I won't know you in the future. How can you say such disgusting things? The couple was not far from Jiangli. They were by the pond, next to the woods, and their quarrel was getting louder and louder. After listening to a few sentences, Jiangli more or less understood that the man was not a good person. The woman knew that he had cheated on her, so she wanted to break up with him, and the man was still pestering her. Jiangli smiled. This kind of thing was very common, especially in modern society. The law allowed polygamy, and even polygamy. Capable men and women could have many wives and husbands. However, most couples were monogamous. Moon Immortal, are you really going to break up with me? The man called Shi Biao was still pestering him. Under the moonlight, he was tall and straight, dressed appropriately, and had the aura of a successful man. Moreover, his every movement had an air of arrogance, and it was obvious that he often gave orders to his subordinates. I've thought about it a long time ago. You're not a good person. I've misjudged you. Now get lost. I don't want to see you even for a second. The girl didn't give the man any face. Moon Immortal. This name sounds somewhat familiar. As Jiangli listened, he had some impression of her. Suddenly, he remembered something. This girl isn't my first police mission. The girl who killed the Phantom Fox and rescued Sprite. Lin Yuxian? Why would he appear in Huaxia University and a student at that? At that time, she was a university student, but it's not strange. Through her own efforts, it's not impossible for her to become a postgraduate from Tsinghua University to China University. To think that he would meet an acquaintance here. Of course, this girl wasn't someone he was familiar with. They had met by chance, but they had met once. Moon Immortal, do you know that no one that I, Shi Biao, fancy can escape? Only I dump women, never allow other women to dump me. If others find out that you dumped me, what face would I have when I go out? Seeing that Lin Yuxian kept telling him to get lost, Shi Biao's expression suddenly changed. So that's how it is. I've seen through you. Lin Yuxian's smile grew colder. However, I still kept an eye on you and didn't let you have your way. What do you want now? To scram or not to scram? If you continue to pester me, I'll call the police. The police arrived very quickly on campus. Call the police? Why don't you try? Shi Biao's face suddenly became ferocious. Lin Yuxian, I've chased you for so long, and you're just going to let me go like this? How is this possible? What do you want? Lin Yuxian saw Shi Biao's aggressive look and took a step back. You also know what kind of person I, Shi Biao, am, and the power of my Shi family. Among the 36 Hua Cheng's counselors, one of them is my father, and in the elite area, my Shi family has a presence. Your family is just ordinary in a small city like Tsinghua City. It's nothing. How can you fight with me? Shi Biao pressed. Shi Biao, you're really shameless. Lin Yuxian couldn't retreat anymore, because if she retreated, she would fall into the pool. It's nothing. You don't give me face, I won't give you face either. Shi Biao grabbed, wanting to grab Lin Yuxian. When he made his move, his martial art was exquisite. It was actually in a ranked martial art, soul-stealing claw. This martial art secretly contained the profound principle of soul-stealing. In this one move, there was actually the sound of a demon god appearing. Lin Yuxian just wanted to shout loudly, but it was to no avail. This claw suppressed her voice, and it was stuck in her throat, unable to come out. However, at the moment when he grabbed, his hand was stopped by someone. The person who stopped him was also a man. This man wasn't as tall as him, but he had a majestic aura like a mountain. With one hand, he grabbed Shi Biao's claw and suddenly twisted it. Crack! Shi Biao's wrist was twisted off. Soul-stealing claw? A ranked martial art? This is a forbidden martial art in the army. Shi Biao, you're really something, using it to deal with a girl. However, you have the soul-stealing claw, and I have a soul-stealing claw. When these two sets of martial arts are combined, it is an S-ranked martial art. You can rely on this martial art to reach the embryonic breathing realm. This man twisted Shi Biao's wrist and said coldly, Guoming, you meddle in other people's business. Why are you here? Shi Biao was in extreme pain, but he was also strong-willed and kept retreating. Don't think that you're strong. If you offend me, you won't have a good life. Get lost, Shi Biao. Although your family is powerful, what happened today is against the law. As long as you promise not to pester this girl in the future, I'll let you go. Guoming waved his hand, and suddenly, a congenital gang chi pushed Shi Biao back. Shi Biao looked at Guoming fiercely and flew away. It really is Guoming. Jiangli originally wanted to make a move. He only needed to inject his mind into Lin Yuxian's soul, and Lin Yuxian would immediately become an expert and defeat Shi Biao. However, Guoming suddenly appeared, so he quietly observed the situation. His best friend had indeed changed, and was no longer the wretched person he used to be. His expression was firm and decisive, and his martial arts were profound, as if he had gone through a lot of training. There was a murderous aura in his body that could steal people's souls. He was like a general who had practiced for 1,000 years and had killed for 1,000 years. If he wasn't familiar with Guoming, Jiangli would have thought that he had been possessed by an extraterrestrial creature. However, Jiangli used the Great Dream Seal to observe and discovered that Guoming was still Guoming, except that there was an unfathomable energy in his body. It was definitely not as simple as a vitality of 5. It was very obvious that he had also had a fortuitous encounter. However, Guoming couldn't see him. In reality, Jiangli was sitting here, observing the changes in the imperial city, and no one could see his existence. He was now becoming more and more mysterious, and his cells could almost change shape and substance. If he cultivated further, he might even be able to thoroughly master the 9 seals of the Great Emperor and change his life form, cultivating a divine ability like Sun Wukong's 72 transformations. Student Guoming, I really have to thank you this time. Lin Yuxian was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. But you also have to be careful. Shi Biao, no need to thank me. I've long since disliked this brat Shi Biao. He relies on his family's influence to do whatever he wants, and thinks that no one in the school can stop him. Guoming stopped Lin Yuxian from continuing. Actually, his family's influence isn't worth mentioning. Don't worry, he can't take revenge on me. Moreover, he won't dare to find trouble with you. Then I'll leave first. Lin Yuxian seemed to be frightened. No need. Since we've seen each other, it's fate. In the end, why did Shi Biao force you? Actually, it's because you're weak. Guoming smiled. My former best friend, Jiang Li, was also weak at the beginning, and many people bullied him. But later on, he improved by leaps and bounds, and became so strong that he could kill gods if he met them. Who dared to stop him? Jiang Li? He's a legendary figure. We even worked together before. Lin Yuxian was stunned, and then recalled. No way. Guoming was shocked. Lin Yuxian then told him about the past. Guoming listened and smiled. Good. You and Jiang Li actually have this fate. Not bad. I'm about to do something big. I need help, but unfortunately, I can't find anyone reliable. It's not bad that I met you today, so I'll give you some benefits. What big thing? Lin Yuxian became alert. It's actually very simple. We'll go to the Imperial City, and you just need to do as I say. Guomeng smiled mysteriously. I guarantee that you'll obtain power. This Imperial City is a tourist attraction. It's not open at night. Lin Yuxian still didn't understand. It doesn't matter. With my skills, I can completely avoid the surveillance here. Besides, we're not going in to steal anything. I'm already familiar with this place. Besides, I have another identity. I'm the administrator of the Imperial City. It's normal to go in and check at night. As Guomeng spoke, he pulled Lin Yuxian into the ancient Imperial City. Zhongli looked. His body didn't move, but he permeated an extremely fine strand of consciousness into the air, secretly following Guomeng to see what kind of trick he was playing. He could already see that his best friend was no longer the same best friend he used to be. However, he wasn't possessed by an extraterrestrial creature. He didn't know whether the current situation was a blessing or a curse. He had to wait and see. Chapter 368. After Guomeng and Lin Yuxian entered the ancient Imperial City, they quickly entered the most central palace. This palace was called the Palace of Heavenly Purity. In the depths of the palace, there was a dragon throne. Above the dragon throne, there was a horizontal board. On the horizontal board, there were 4 large words: just and honorable. The majestic aura of an ancient emperor was vividly displayed on it. Although the feudal era had passed for 400 or 500 years, its prestige was still there. At this moment, the depths of the palace were so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. One could even hear their own heartbeat and breathing. It was terrifyingly quiet, and there was a sense of terror in them. Classmate Guomeng, why did you bring me here? Lin Yuxian wiggled her body restlessly. This is the ancient Imperial City, the place with the highest authority in the feudal era. However, it became a tourist attraction in the era of the state, and in the modern era, it only has the characteristics of an ancient civilization. No, the emperor of the feudal era wasn't actually a rotten system. It was a brilliant system. The emperor's authority was bestowed by God. In the universe, the most powerful advanced civilization would definitely have an emperor. That civilization's highest point was God. God established heaven and earth and built a kingdom of God. Then, God would protect the race and appoint a smart and capable person to be the emperor. Guomeng muttered as he looked at the throne. Impossible. The imperial system is a rotten system. History is constantly improving, and now the presidential election system is perfect. Human laws are perfect, and no one would agree to another emperor. Lin Yuxian didn't agree with this view. The election system isn't suitable. It's just an excessive system. In fact, if the imperial system of the Chinese civilization continued to develop, it would have become an ancient cultivation civilization. Unfortunately, it was invaded by the Western industrial civilization, and then it became a nondescript society. Guomeng stood under the board and talked about the past and present. When his voice spread out, there was a faint sigh. By the way, you didn't bring me here to say this, did you? Is there something strange? Lin Yuxian didn't like the atmosphere here. Of course. Guomeng walked up, and in a flash, he sat on the dragon throne. He held the armrest with both hands. This action was easy and practiced, and who knew how many times he had done it. As soon as he sat on it, the dragon throne creaked. It was as if he was an emperor descending upon the world, his aura surging. Rumble. A wave of energy was activated by him, and a magic formation appeared on the ground beneath the throne. This magic formation was round, but it wasn't round, and it was square, but it wasn't square. In the center, a faint dragon appeared. The dragon kept swimming, as if it wanted to break out of the magic array and descend into this world. Seeing this, Lin Yuxian took a few steps back in shock. What is this thing? Don't be afraid. This is just the dragon vein of China's 1,000-year-old dragon qi. It was absorbed by the feng shui layout of the imperial city, and over time, it gained sentience and exists in the depths of a special dimension. I occasionally received guidance from an expert and was able to manifest it and absorb its power to strengthen myself. What you see now is just a projection of this powerful dragon vein. Guomeng's eyes suddenly shone with a piercing light. That special dimension is a great dimension. Even our Chinese bloodline has that dimension's bloodline. Our Chinese bloodline is the dragon dimension. We Chinese claim to be the descendants of the dragon. In fact, in ancient times, our ancestor was a dragon. In all the ancient legends, Fuxi and Nuwa all had human heads and snake bodies. If that's not a dragon, what is it? Guomeng's voice sounded like he was praying. I accidentally discovered this secret. There's a space-time tunnel here that leads to the dragon dimension. It is the birthplace of our bloodline, and there's a great power in it. At the same time, it absorbs the dragon chi and opens the tunnel. I've already communicated with the great existence in the dragon dimension and obtained the ancestral bloodline. That is the Yin Huang dragon blood of our Chinese ancestors. In ancient times, Yao Shun, Yu Tang, the 3 sovereigns, and 5 emperors, all of them could cause the heavens to fall and the earth to rend. It's actually the pure power of the mystical dragon. That's true. Lin Yuxian heard it well. Therefore, I secretly established an organization called the Yin Huang Association to gather talents and expand it. More and more people will worship the true dragon and pray in secret to open the space-time tunnel. The dragon god of the dragon dimension will descend and protect our Chinese bloodline. We will return to the pinnacle of civilization. Guomeng said lightly. Now, I will tell you the method of praying. You will become a member of the Yin Huang Association. While gaining power, you will understand the true meaning of the Yin Huang dragon blood. At the same time, you can go out and recruit members. Every member you recruit will increase your strength. I am your online contact. You can recruit others. Online contact? Others? Why does it sound like a pyramid scheme? Although Lin Yuxian found it unbelievable, she understood that a miracle was right in front of her. You can say that, Guomeng said lightly, but this Yin Huang Association is still in its early stages. There aren't many people, but it is precisely because of this that the first people to join will have great development. I know that. What do I do now? Lin Yuxian said, sit down and listen to my scriptures. Focus and pray to the dragon god. Guomeng sent a spiritual wave out. Lin Yuxian sat down and began to cultivate and pray. This time, she prayed very quickly. In a short while, a large amount of dragon power from the pattern on the ground shot into her body. Her strength began to increase, and her physical fitness rose quickly. It was faster than taking any spiritual medicine. In a short while, a small mystical dragon mark appeared between her brows. She opened her eyes, and they were very sharp. Her vitality had increased by at least 1 point. My vitality. She stood up and looked at her hands. It increased so quickly. My vitality is 0, 9, and now it's almost 2. How unbelievable is this? This is just the beginning. It will increase even more in the future. Guomeng said, as long as you keep developing your connections, the more connections you have, the faster your strength will increase. To develop subordinates, I have to bring people here? Lin Xianyue said, is it because the more subordinates we develop, the closer our mental connection with the dragon god and the dragon dimension will be, and the passage will be opened and the dragon god will descend? Yes, that will be the time when our Chinese bloodline will be at its peak. It will also be the time of our ancient ancestors. Guomeng said, the structure of humanity will also change. What's the Lord's AI? It's not even worth mentioning in front of the dragon god. We can restore China to its peak of the mythological era, and we will be the vanguard of the mythological era. This is the interstellar era. The entire interstellar era will enter the mythological era sooner or later. I see. Lin Yuxian said, I understand. I will do my best to develop subordinates and let more reliable people join the association. Who would want to do something good to increase their strength? Remember, you must choose the right people to develop subordinates, and they must have Chinese blood in them. We don't want mixed bloods. They must have pure blood. If they aren't, they will die the moment they are tempered by the Yin Huang dragon blood. Guomeng said, let's go. We shouldn't stay here for long. Lin Xianyue nodded, and the two of them left. Once the two of them left, the diagram disappeared. After a long time, there was no more movement. Finally, When it was almost daybreak, a person appeared. It was Jiang Li. Jiang Li's expression was uncertain, a mixture of joy and sorrow on his face. This is the passage to the dragon dimension. The dragon is the totem of the Chinese bloodline. All emperors claim that they are the son of heaven. The ancient 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors were all rumored to have human heads and snake bodies. Although it was a myth, it wasn't unfounded. The Chinese civilization does indeed have an indissoluble bond with the dragon. This is undeniable. The dragon dimension is a mysterious and invincible dimension. But the descent of the dragon god is too terrifying. Humans have developed to this point and are independent. They don't need any interference from other civilizations. Just like the United States of America, it originally belonged to the United Kingdom, but after the War of Independence, it became a giant. It is the same for the Chinese civilization. They cut off their ties with the dragon and became an independent civilization. Only now did he know what miraculous encounter Guomeng had. And he also knew what kind of external civilization this place was. It was actually a dragon race. They were closely related to the Chinese bloodline. It seemed like there was a big shot behind Guomeng. That external civilization had developed Guomeng as a subordinate. This was to increase the number of people in the Yin-Huang Association. Finally, with their strength, they could open the passage and the dragon race would descend on Earth like a giant. Who knew how much the Yin-Huang Association had developed? Who is the powerful being behind Guomeng? Where is he? Jiang Li searched the place with his spiritual power, but he didn't find any clues. He didn't know where the dragon pattern of the magic array had gone. Jiang Li finally shook his head, knowing that it would be difficult to find it himself. He had to find clues from his best friend Guomeng. At the same time, he felt that his best friend Guomeng was playing with fire, using the power of an alien civilization to strengthen himself. Even if it was the ancestral dragon of the Chinese bloodline, it was still a very dangerous behavior. He decided to follow Guomeng and protect his best friend in secret. Because he could see that Guomeng didn't lose his soul, he wasn't a fanatical believer, and he was still very calm. Immediately, he flashed and left Huaxia University. He saw Guomeng send Lin Yuexian away and went to a company. This company was very big, called the Yin-Huang Group. Yin-Huang Group? That's one of the top 10 companies in the world, second only to the Huaxia Group. However, it only has a small branch in the 36 Hua cities, and it's not famous. But Yin-Huang Group occupies a planet called Yin-Huang Planet. There are tens of billions of people on it, all of whom are people of Chinese bloodline. Jiang Li followed Guomeng and was surprised to see him walk into the Yin-Huang Group. Humans now had 50 or 60 inhabited planets, with a population of 700 to 800 billion. Some of these planets were specially inhabited by people of Chinese bloodline, and of course, there were also planets specially inhabited by white and black people. One of the Yin-Huang planet was a gathering point for people of Chinese bloodline. This planet was also first discovered by the Yin-Huang Group, and then carried out large-scale immigration, and then developed the Chinese bloodline on it to the current scale. In this way, Guomeng's relationship with the Yin-Huang Group was not so simple. Chapter 369. The Yin-Huang Corporation was a large company, but it did not have much influence in the 36 Hua cities. It had only opened a small department to deal with unprofitable businesses. No one paid attention to this small company, and they all thought it was an insignificant branch of a large corporation. Many large corporations also had rubbish businesses, and this was not unusual. But from the looks of it, the Yin-Huang Corporation was very scheming. It was very likely that China University had initially invested in the construction of the royal city, absorbing the cultural atmosphere, and opening the passageway was also one of the plans of the corporation. The goal was to open the passageway to the dragon dimension. Jiang Li was very familiar with the dragon dimension. Little the Arch had used the blasphemy worm to trap Saint Sisa in the dragon dimension, and used the power of the dragon dimension to kill him. The dragon dimension indeed had an inseparable connection with the Chinese bloodline. The situation was serious and complicated, and it even involved the power struggle of large corporations. If that was the case, even if Jiang Li was a general, it would not be enough. Moreover, humans were about to leave Earth, and the Yin Huang Corporation wanted to open the passageway to the dragon dimension. If things went wrong, Earth would be destroyed. He didn't enter the Yin Huang Corporation. Instead, he made his consciousness as ethereal as possible and entered the Yin Huang Corporation to follow Guomeng. The Yin Huang Corporation was a large building, and there were many employees going in and out. It was not unusual for white-collared women to go in and out of the building, just like any other company. But Zhongli felt that there was a mental barrier inside the building. As long as other people's mental power invaded, it would immediately sense it and retaliate. Obviously, there was an expert inside. Because no technology could block mental power. Only mental power could block mental power. However, Zhongli had mastered the Emperor's dream seal. How mysterious was his mental power? He secretly used a small illusion to bypass the mental power test and followed Guomeng. Guomeng did not feel that someone was following him. He entered the highest floor of the Yin Huang Corporation and walked into a conference room. The conference room was sealed and no radar could detect it. There was no one in the conference room, but in the center of the conference room, there was a statue. The statue was as tall as a person. It had a human head and a snake's body. There were horns on its head, and its eyes were filled with vicissitudes. It seemed to be a character from ancient myths. Emissary, I recruited another offline yesterday and went to take a look at the node over there. I discovered that the node is showing signs of corrosion. I believe that it won't be long before the dragon dimension is truly opened. At that time, a lot of energy will seep in and purify the bloodlines of many people from my Yin Huang Association. Guomeng respectfully spoke to the statue. Very good. The statue actually spoke. Earth will soon undergo great changes. The passage in the Bermuda Triangle has already been opened, and giants are invading. The higher-ups of the human race had already issued an order. It seemed that they were going to carry out a great migration and abandon Earth. You don't have much time left. What? There's such a thing? Guomeng was surprised. Yes, there's also the contribution of your best friend, Zhongli. He's really amazing. He fought against many heroes and killed many Scion giants. His strength is extraordinary. The statue clicked its tongue in praise. You're his childhood friend. I think you should interact more with him. Borrow his strength to open the passage to the dragon dimension. That best friend of mine is outstanding. I wonder how he cultivated. Guomeng's tone was filled with respect. But he has his own ideals. You want to join our Yin Huang Association, right? That will depend on your means. Furthermore, joining the Yin Huang Association is a contribution to our Chinese bloodline. Let me tell you, once the passageway to the dragon dimension is opened, in that instant, the powerful energy of the dragon origin bloodline will envelop the entire planet. Then, those with pure Chinese bloodline will become much stronger. Those without Chinese bloodline, or those with mixed blood, will die due to the rejection of the bloodline. Especially you. You've contributed greatly. In that instant, you'll be blessed by the dragon god, and your cultivation will soar. You'll be even more powerful than the president with the Lord's AI. Moreover, how powerful is Zhongli? As long as you recruit him, it's normal for your strength to increase by 100 times in a short period of time. Moreover, this is a good thing. It will allow Zhongli to investigate the secrets of the dragon dimension. And doesn't he want to deal with Jiang Nailan? This is a good method. If he can gain the favor of the dragon god, then little Jiang Nailan won't be a problem. The statue spoke of many topics in one breath. Guomeng nodded repeatedly. I'm going to convince him just like that? No, these won't be enough to convince him. The statue spoke again. But I have an idea that will move him. What idea? Guomeng hurriedly asked. This time, the humans on Earth will undergo a great migration. I reckon they'll migrate to planet Cubo. This will cause a huge public outcry. The humans on Earth will resist with all their might. At that time, the Zhang family will come out and announce that they've found a pure land for humanity. That is the cultivation world. This way, the Zhang family will have no problem running for president. Once the Zhang family becomes the president and controls the AI of the Lord's AI, they'll never have a good time again. The statue said, I know that Jiang Nalan has already begun preparing to deceive the heavens in the cultivation world. He's established a country the size of several Earths, more than enough for the humans on Earth to migrate. This way, won't the humans on Earth be grateful to the Jiang family? Won't the entire world's public opinion immediately lean towards the Jiang family? At that time, the hearts of the people will be in Jiang Li's favor. Is Jiang Nalan that powerful? Guoming was shocked. Of course, other than that Wang Chao, he's the most powerful human. He's already far surpassed the other saints. However, he's always fighting against the heavens in the cultivation world and can't escape. Otherwise, he'd have long since suppressed your best friend Jiang Li. Of course, Jiang Li might not be able to enter his eyes. The statue said, but Jiang Li is getting stronger and stronger. In the end, he'll threaten his position. When that happens, he won't show any mercy. He'll definitely suppress Jiang Li and consign him to eternal damnation. The emissary's words sound like a horrifying picture. I don't think it's that bad. Is Jiang Nalan going to be able to cover the sky with one hand? Guoming shivered. According to the current development, that's indeed the case. The statue said, right now, you have to speed up the development of the Flame Yellow Association. You must pull Jiang Li into your group. Let him communicate with the Dragon God. Based on this, in order to fight against Jiang Nalan, he'll have to communicate with the Dragon God and borrow the power of the Dragon God. Moreover, he has the bloodline of Huaxia. Letting the power of the Dragon God open a path and appear on Earth is also a good thing. Guoming thought for a while and finally made his decision. You have to be fast. After saying these two words, the statue finally fell silent, and there was no more sound. This was the spirit of a powerful existence possessing the statue, just like the manifestation of the holy statue of Jiang Nalan. Guoming sat down and began to cultivate. As he inhaled and exhaled, a divine dragon appeared between his eyebrows. The muscles on his body wriggled like pythons that had awakened, surging with power. In the distance, Jiang Li retracted his spirit. So that's how it is. But the aura of the soul of the statue is that of an earthling, not an alien. It might be a senior member of the Flame Yellow group. Jiang Li also fell into deep thought after hearing the conversation between Guoming and the statue, especially about the matter of Jiang Nalan from the Jiang family. If the great migration of Earth happened, Jiang Nalan could open up a pure land in the cultivation world and immediately become the god of humans. Countless people would cheer for him. Under the public opinion, whatever he said would be the truth. This was indeed a terrifying thing. But if he borrowed the power of the Dragon God, it would be asking a tiger for its skin. Humans were humans. They did not need any external power to control them. Moreover, the moment the path was opened, the bloodline of the dragon would envelop the earth. Other than those with the bloodline of Huaxia, everyone would die. This was not a good thing. Moreover, it was possible that those with the bloodline of Huaxia would also become half-human, half-dragon monsters, just like the statue, with a human head and a snake body. If I'm not wrong, there's still an alien hiding in Beijing. I must find it. Guoming and the Flame Yellow group don't seem to be an alien. They're just borrowing the power of the dragon dimension. Jiang Li shook his head. Could it be that my dream divination didn't work? He circulated his mind once again and sent it out to observe Guoming. Guoming was cultivating. As he breathed, there was the sound of tens of thousands of dragons roaring in his body. At this moment, a woman entered the conference room. She looked like a student and had a graceful figure. She was wearing a professional white-collar outfit and held some documents in her hands. She walked in and said, "Director Guoming, these are some documents of the group. I need your signature." Jiang Li's mind fluctuated. This woman is so mysterious. He could instantly tell that this white-collar woman had the aura of a human on the surface, but her soul was very obscure. It seemed to be concealed by a secret technique, but her essence gave off a feeling of perilous waves. The depths of her soul were as vast as the sea. Jiang Li did not see a person, but an ocean. Powerful, even more powerful than my soul. This woman is definitely not human. Looks like she's the alien I've been looking for. Jiang Li was sure. If it wasn't for the profound meaning of his great dream seal, he wouldn't have been able to see through this woman. He was even afraid of being discovered by the woman. You can make the decisions for these matters in the future. Guomeng seemed to have a lot of trust in this female secretary, treating her as his confidant. I just received an order from a messenger to speed up the construction of the Flame Yellow group and recruit more people. What do you think? I think the same. I'll go to the school now and recruit more students. This female secretary, Hewen smiled faintly. She had a kind of charm. This was not flirting, but the charm of a professional. She looked like a student, but her aura was that of a mature woman in the workplace. With this combination, she had a unique charm. Also, find a time to make a trip to the Red Emperor group. I want to see my best friend, Jiang Li, Guomeng said again. Jiang Li? The one who passed the nuclear explosion experiment and became the new marshal, but he is only in the embryonic breathing realm? The female secretary, Hewen's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light, but no one could see it. I also want to see this legendary person. I haven't caught up with him in a long time. Guomeng was looking forward to it. Originally, I want to let my best friend see my current achievements. It's a pity that my achievements are not worth mentioning in front of him. Don't worry, he will see your great achievements. The female secretary, Hewen, said with a double meaning. Chapter 370. After figuring out what had happened, Jiang Li returned to the Red Emperor Corporation. How is it? Have you found anything? Hong Heiyu was very concerned about this matter. It's like this. Jiang Li told him everything he had found out. After half an hour, he concluded, it's hard to say if this is a blessing or a curse. My best friend's secretary is an extraterrestrial. She's very strong, and if I were to forcefully suppress her, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do so. If it causes a huge commotion in the city, it would be a huge loss. You're right. Hong Heiyu stood up and retracted his aura. He said carefully, don't act rashly. Firstly, this extraterrestrial might have other helpers. Secondly, this dragon god and the dragon dimension might have even more mysteries. They are indeed the bloodline of our Chinese ancestors. If we use them well, we can increase the strength of our Chinese people by a level. Right now, there are about 200 billion Chinese people, and this includes mixed bloods. If it's pure Chinese people, there might only be 100 billion. It's too little compared to the 700 to 800 billion human population. I estimate that if we use them well, the average vitality of the Chinese people will increase to 3, 4, or even 5. What? Jiang Li was shocked. There's such a good thing? The average vitality of humans was 0, 85. If the vitality of 100 billion Chinese people suddenly increased to 5, what kind of level would that be? They would definitely dominate the human race. Jiang Li had seen Lin Yuexian's growth in the imperial city. She had increased by 1 point in an instant. What kind of concept was that? Back then, when Jiang Li went from 1 to 2, he didn't know how much essence he had absorbed and how many techniques he had cultivated. But Lin Yuexian had just bowed and received the Dragon God's reward. She didn't even need to cultivate. However, this was the right path of cultivation, borrowing the power of the gods to change one's fate and strength. It was equivalent to the golden words of the ancient emperors. Just a sentence from them could withstand a few lifetimes of hard work. Power was power. As long as you obtained it, it would belong to you. It didn't matter what methods you used to obtain it. Is there such a good thing? The bloodline of the Chinese does come from the dragon dimension, which is the so-called dragon dimension. However, as time went on, the bloodline became thinner and thinner, losing its power. In the ancient myths, the ancestors of the human race all uprooted mountains and filled the seas. But if we can obtain a large number of bloodlines from the dragon dimension, even though it's impossible for all of China's humans to revert to their ancestors, it's not a problem for their vitality to increase greatly. Hong Heiyu's eyes flickered with excitement. Actually, I heard some news, so I came here. This matter is indeed related to the Yanhuang Corporation. The Yanhuang Corporation's main research topic is to extract the Yanhuang dragon blood from the Chinese bloodline. But isn't it premeditated to make a deal with the dragon dimension? Sooner or later, we'll all eat it up until there's nothing left. Jiangli shook his head. I still feel that it's better for us humans to cultivate ourselves. The Chinese bloodline should have been independent a long time ago. Even though we're the descendants of the dragons, we can't let the dragons control our fate. We, the Chinese, should control our own fate. Moreover, there's another problem. If all of us have a sudden increase in vitality, the other humans will definitely panic, causing internal strife and chaos. This isn't a blessing for all of us. In my eyes, no matter if you're yellow, white, black, or brown, you're all of Earth's bloodline. In a vast universe, we have to work together and make a name for ourselves. If there's internal strife, it's not a blessing for us. You're right on this point. Hong Heiyu pondered for a moment. The sudden increase in vitality of our Chinese bloodline will definitely cause dissatisfaction and panic among the other humans. At that time, there will be a huge split, and there will be endless killing. Moreover, making a deal with the Dragon Dimension's dragon god is indeed like asking a tiger for its skin, but we can't cut off this path. I think this power, why don't you control it? If you control this power, you can gradually improve the Chinese bloodline. In the next 100 years, it will slowly increase, and the conflict will be resolved. Moreover, if you control this power, you'll be very safe. It's not impossible for you to run for president in the next few years. Right now, I still don't know what this dragon vein power is. How can I collect it? What if I invite a wolf into my house? Jiangli looked at the sea in the distance. Earth is going to undergo a great migration. The Yin Huang Corporation is going to open the Dragon Dimension channel, and the extraterrestrials are going to mix with the humans to stir up trouble. These are troubled times. Heroes are born in troubled times. Only when the world is in a state of flux can talents be born. Hong Heiyu didn't care. Let's wait and see. Earth's migration will probably take some time, and they won't suddenly issue an order. They will definitely wait until some channels break and the extraterrestrials start to invade. Otherwise, if they suddenly migrate during peaceful times, the humans might trample the government. Sigh. That's how the human heart is. Jiangli had nothing to say. If there was a crisis and the extraterrestrials invaded, the human government would start the migration, and the humans on Earth wouldn't have any complaints. However, if they started the migration for no reason, although it was a precaution, it might cause chaos. There might even be internal divisions in the human government. Many ambitious people took advantage of this opportunity to come out and spread propaganda, bewitch people, and set up political parties. Humans never lacked ambitious people. At this moment, a message came from Jiang Li's martial medal. Chairman, people from the Yin Huang Corporation want to see you. One of them is called Guomeng. He said he was your childhood friend. Do you want to see him? Yes. Jiang Li knew that Guomeng would come to see him, and a smile appeared on his face. I'll leave for a while. Hong Heiyu naturally wouldn't be there. He had to observe the changes in the dark. Jiang Li watched as Hong Heiyu left. He stood there and waited for his best friend. Soon, a wave of energy wrapped around the two of them and brought them to the hall. Ha ha ha, Jiang Li, you've grown up. This Red Emperor Corporation actually has an energy transmission system. It's the first in Beijing. Guomeng's hearty voice sounded. Jiang Li saw Guomeng and his female secretary, the mysterious He-Wan. Brother, you're doing well now. You're actually working in the Yin Huang Corporation? Jiang Li laughed and went up to hug Guomeng. I don't dare to speak loudly to you now. You're a human marshal, and you have great power. I'm just a director of a small company. We're worlds apart. Guomeng clapped his hands. In order to dispel this awkwardness, he quickly introduced, "This is my assistant, He-Wan." Hello. Jiang Li had long been wary of this female assistant. He used the Great Dream Seal to examine her. Her cultivation wasn't lower than his. He didn't even know if she was male or female, or if she was a different life form. The two shook hands. He only felt that the female assistant's hands were weak. It seemed like she hadn't cultivated martial arts before. She gave off a delicate feeling. However, this was just a cover on the surface. In the depths of Jiang Li's soul, he could see that there seemed to be an alternate dimension in her body. Deep within that alternate dimension, there was an enormous amount of energy stored. This was just a feeling. It definitely couldn't be detected with energy. If that was the case, it would be even more terrifying. This was the third stage of meditation, the forgetfulness realm. It was rumored that at the third stage of meditation, one could condense a small world in the body, a small space. It was used to store one's own energy. At this stage, one would be able to surpass anyone. No matter how strong one's body was, it wouldn't be able to store much energy. However, if one had a space, it would be different. For example, the space in Jiang Li's emperor relic was 100 square kilometers. If all of it was stored, how much energy could it store? Even a 100,000-meter tall giant wouldn't be so ferocious. If this female assistant was an expert of this level, then even Jiang Li wouldn't be a match for her. Only Sidu Wudi would be able to contend against her. To completely suppress her, they would need a saint. Why would such a terrifying thing appear? Jiang Li was worried. Why would she be Guomeng's secretary? I knew that General Jiang Li was a hero of mankind. Now that I see it, he really has the power to conquer mountains and rivers. The female assistant pulled out her hand and said calmly, "We are all small fry. We are here to discuss cooperation with the general. I hope you don't mind." "Not at all. All humans are equal. Although I'm a general, I'm no different from ordinary humans. I'm best friends with Guomeng. If there's anything you need help with, I'll definitely help." Jiang Li wanted to see what tricks this female assistant was going to play. Actually, this female assistant, He-Won, was different from other extraterrestrial beings. Generally speaking, when extraterrestrial beings saw other races, their first thought was to kill. This was the universal law of the universe. Those who weren't of the same race would have different intentions. As for this female assistant, Jiang Li temporarily didn't feel any hostility towards humans. It seemed that she had already integrated into human society. He was a little relieved about this. He had to get to the bottom of this. It's like this. I know that the Crimson Emperor Group has mastered many advanced technologies. Our Yin Huang Group is currently researching a technology that has reached a bottleneck. We hope to cooperate with the Crimson Emperor Group. He spoke. Jiang Li could see that although she was Guomeng's secretary, she was the one making the decisions. "What technology?" Jiang Li asked with a smile. "It can't be the Yin Huang Dragon Blood, right? You even know about the Yin Huang Dragon Blood?" A strange look flashed in He-Wen's eyes. "That's what we're researching. You know that the Dragon Blood gene potions we've researched can't be used. However, we discovered that the Dragon gene potions are very useful for the Chinese. The Chinese have the bloodline of the dragon, so we want to research with the Crimson Emperor Group to create a Dragon Blood gene potion that has no side effects and can be injected. It will greatly improve the physique of the Chinese. This is a great plan that will last for generations. What does the general think?" Chapter 371. I agree. This is something that benefits all of humanity. Hearing this, Jiang Li knew that the show was about to start. The other party definitely didn't just want to research the Yin Huang Dragon Blood gene potion. She wanted to rope him in to believe in the dragon god, summon power, and open the true path to the dragon dimension. It was a pity that He-Won didn't know that Jiang Li had a deep understanding of the dragon dimension. As long as he observed carefully and communicated with Little Arch, he would be able to gain some important knowledge from Little Thearka's experience of trapping Saint Sisa. So, the Marshal has agreed to the collaboration between the Red Emperor Corporation and the Yin Huang Corporation. The female secretary, He-Won, beamed with joy. She then took out a bottle of medicine from her small bag. "This is a sample of the dragon blood of Yin Huang that we are researching. You can analyze it first. If possible, we can sign a contract first." "No problem." Jiang Li waited for the other party to send over an electronic contract and signed it. With his current status, a contract couldn't restrict him. The reason he signed it was just to make the other party feel at ease. After that, he took the bottle of Yin Huang Dragon Blood gene potion. The potion was golden, but there was a tinge of purple in the depths of the golden color. It was rich, grand, and dignified. Jiang Li's consciousness seeped in and immediately felt the roars of 10,000 dragons. It was as if he had entered a country of dragons. The dragons had no leader, and the world was safe. His mind was shaken. He felt his blood boiling and resonating with each other. It was as if the Yin Huang Dragon Blood gene potion had a strong resonance with his blood. "Good potion," he praised. He could feel the powerful energy and the spirit of the world in the potion. It was indeed the ancient meridian of the Yin Huang dragon blood. This potion isn't perfect yet. If an ordinary Huaxia person consumes it, although their strength will increase greatly, they will become a human-headed snake monster. They will never recover, although they will look like Fuxi and Yuhua in ancient Huaxia mythology. However, this appearance doesn't fit the aesthetics of modern people. After all, they're different. So I hope that the Red Emperor Corporation can research with us to get rid of this flaw. How about it? Hewen heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Jiang Li sign the contract. I have to do some experiments and analyze them. This is not a simple scientific problem. Jiang Li pondered for a moment. What else is there to do next? This matter is highly confidential. Guoming hesitated. Hewen quickly took over the conversation. Let me say it. It's like this. We've also received orders from the highest military headquarters. It seems that the human race is very unstable, especially Earth. Many space-time passages have been opened, and there are even extraterrestrial life forms entering. To tell you the truth, the Marshal is aware of the dangers facing humanity, right? I know. Jiang Li didn't know what she was planning, but he could beat her at her own game. Actually, the Yin Huang group is well informed. They should know that I killed the giant in the space-time tunnel in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm sure you all know that the higher-ups of the human race are preparing to migrate the humans on Earth. Actually, humans don't have to migrate. Suddenly, Hewen said something shocking. What? Jiang Li was shocked to hear this, but he pretended to be calm and refused to show it. What do you mean? You can't talk nonsense about this. This is the highest secret of our Yin Huang group. Hewen smiled. Humans of the Chinese bloodline are the descendants of dragons. Our ancestors were actually dragons, and dragons are extremely powerful beings in the universe. The reason why the cultivation world isn't afraid of us invading is because of the existence of heaven's will. Earth's heavens will no longer exist, but our Chinese ancestral spirit still exists. Our ancestral spirit is the dragon god. As long as we use a series of sacrificial methods to summon the ancestral spirit and turn it into the will of Earth, no extraterrestrial race can invade us. This is what's going on. Jiang Li had a rough idea of what was going on. It's very simple. We worship our ancestors, and the ancestral spirit will protect us again. Our Chinese bloodline has the existence of heaven's will. We can use heaven's will to defend against all invasions. This way, the humans on Earth won't have to migrate, and our home will be protected. Guoming seemed to have no doubts about the ancestral spirit dragon. Jiang Li, our Chinese bloodline has always believed that the emperor is the son of heaven. Every sacrificial ceremony has the existence of a dragon. This is the traditional bloodline of civilization. Even the ancient Book of Changes says that on the 9th day of the new year, hidden dragons are not to be used. Every one of us is actually a dragon. Therefore, I hope that you can help us to carry out a grand sacrificial ceremony to awaken the power of the ancestral spirit dragon and protect Earth. Is that so? Jiang Li knew that Guoming might have been deceived. Of course, what he said was also correct. The dragon god of the dragon dimension was most likely the ancestor of the Huaxia bloodline on Earth. Worshipping the dragon god was also a tradition of the Huaxia civilization, but now that the Huaxia civilization was an independent entity, worshipping the dragon god might be inappropriate. This was not about forgetting the ancestors, but about becoming independent. Moreover, you also know that our Chinese bloodline actually walks the path of the cultivation civilization. We don't rely on technology. But a few hundred years ago, the sudden industrial revolution made the West powerful and invaded the East. We became a technological society, and the cultivation civilization no longer exists. In fact, if there was no invasion of the industrial civilization, our society would continue to develop. Worshipping the dragon god would have become a powerful civilization like the cultivation world, and the ancient ancestral dragon god would have been revived. Guoming continued. Actually, the invasion of the industrial civilization was a plot by the alien angels. We all know this. They were afraid that our Chinese bloodline would become the cultivation civilization and gradually become stronger. Now that we are strong and after understanding this secret, we will restore our ancient civilization. Our Chinese civilization will usher in a new era, the Age of Legends, the Age of Dragons. Yuan's tone was very infectious. In all fairness, what they said was right. But Zhongli knew that things were not so simple. Even if humans were experimental subjects, they were no longer. They could not go back to the old path. However, he would not say his thoughts out loud. Instead, he pondered for a long time before raising his head. What you said is too vague. Can a simple sacrifice to the dragon god restore Earth's will? If that's the case, why wait until now? I'm sure you know what Earth is, General. Hewen continued. Our Yin Huang Corporation has researched for many years. Finally, with the help of the Yin Huang bloodline, we know the passage to our ancestors' dragon dimension. If we can make this sacrifice quickly, with the current situation, we can open the passage and complete the revolution in an instant. We need General's help. After all, you are in charge of the 36 Hua cities. Indeed, I am in charge of the 36 Hua cities. Zhongli said so. The passage to the dragon dimension is in Beijing. You guessed correctly. Hewen praised. This is a big move, and we can't do it alone. Because you're an expert, you'll be the first to know if anything happens. Also, you're also in charge of the special affairs team. If we do this, we will be suspected of colluding with the alien beings. We must cooperate with you to open up the situation. This is a big deal. Zhongli pretended to be in deep thought. The benefits are huge. There's no need to talk about the benefits to our Chinese bloodline, but the benefits to you are even greater. Hewen said, your cultivation can be raised to the highest level and improved by leaps and bounds. Because this is a reward from the realm will, a blessing from the dragon god. Apart from that, you can also resolve the crisis on Earth, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You must know that the Jiang family is also ready to make a move during this crisis. That Jiang Nalan is. As she spoke, she repeated the Jiang family's threat again. The Jiang family is a big threat. If Jiang Nalan can successfully migrate, she will win the hearts of the people. Zhongli knew this very well. He was determined to go deep into the tiger's den and get the tiger cub. Okay, I promise you that I will help you open the passage to the dragon dimension. This is not colluding with the alien civilization, but a sacrifice to our Chinese ancestors. Are you serious? Hewen's eyes flashed. Of course, as long as we can deal with the Jiang family, we will do anything. Once Jiang Nalan gains power, do you think I will survive? Jiang Li's face was a little twisted. But we still have to think about this. What is the specific plan? The specific plan is very simple. The specific plan is simple. You will recruit a large number of subordinates, and they must be of pure Huaxia bloodline. After that, you will initiate a ceremony to worship your ancestors. At the same time, you will entice them with benefits. Use the Yin Huang dragon blood to increase their strength. In a short period of time, it will snowball and gather the souls of the masses. As long as the dragon deity notices this place, he will open a passageway and refine Earth in an instant. Earth will then have a huge heavens that will kill any extraterrestrial life forms. Hewen said, of course, the specific plan still needs to be discussed. But you are the marshal and the leader of the 36 Hua cities. As long as you start a movement, everyone will follow you. Okay, write down the specific plan, and I will implement it. Also, I want to see what benefits there are from sacrificing to the dragon god. I want to study the mystery of the Yin Huang dragon blood in the next few days. Zhongli decided to communicate with Little Darch again to ask about this knowledge and how to deal with it. This might be an opportunity. Okay, we'll take our leave now. Time is tight now. If we are free, we can have a good gathering. Guomeng left after saying this. Zhongli looked at the back of his best friend and played with a bottle of genetic potion in his hand. He was thinking of a way to control the situation. Everyone left, and it was quiet. He started to use his mind to communicate with Little Darch. He sent out a thought. He found that it was getting harder and harder to communicate with Little Darch. She seemed to be in a critical period. Little Darch, how is the situation? He contacted Little Darch. Chapter 372. Things haven't been looking good recently. Little Emperor's voice was intermittent, as if he was calling in a place with no signal. What happened? Jiangli was nervous, his heart twitching. Is there something wrong with Saint Si-Sa? Little Emperor was his last asset. If anything happened, his backer would collapse, and he would be crushed into dust, never to be reincarnated. Although his cultivation was high, the people he offended were getting bigger and bigger. Without the protection of a saint, it would be hard for him to die even if he wanted to. The human saints are all looking for me, for Saint Si-Sa. Jiang Nalan has been mobilized, Saint Hua Lu Dao has appeared, and Saint Ao Gu has also gone. It's very likely that there will be a great battle in the near future, and I will have to fight against all the saints. Saint Sisi has already been completely trapped by me, and is being suppressed in the depths of the Mother Empress. I will devour his soul and power, as well as all of his spirit. But at that time, I will face a tribulation, and it will be a gamble of life and death. If I succeed, I will become a saint and dominate the world. If I fail, I will die. Little Emperor said, Saint Si-Sa has entered the dragon dimension. I used the Mother Empress to disguise myself as a dragon and deceive the power of the dimension to capture Saint Si-Sa and seal him in the Mother Empress. He is not dead yet, and he still wants to break out of the Mother Empress seal to kill me. If he was alone, I would have no problem refining him, but now many saints are looking for me, and I will be located sooner or later. At that time, there will be internal and external troubles, and I only have a 10% chance of success. Only a 10% chance? Doesn't that mean the chances are slim? Jiang Li's heart sank. That's not it either. I'm already dead. Resurrecting now is already a great taboo of heaven and earth, so there will definitely be a great tribulation to deal with me. I'm already prepared. I'm already dead, so how bad can it be? Little Emperor was in a good mood. I have truly comprehended life and death. So how can these people kill me? And now you have brought me good news. What good news? Jiang Li was stunned. Didn't someone want you to open the passage to Earth and enter the dragon dimension? Lil Monarch said, this is a good thing. The dragon dimension has the power to descend on Earth, change it, and gain control of the Earth. I'll tell you the truth about the Earth itself. It's called the Chaos Bead. It's a treasure that allows you to travel to any world without being discovered by the heavens' will of any world. It's like you've merged with the Chaos Bead. Therefore, many great existences want to obtain Earth, and many existences have also made arrangements on Earth. The Chinese bloodline is the arrangement of the dragon god of the dragon dimension. Then what should I do? Jiangli was excited. Beat them at their own game. Lil Emperor said calmly. Open the dragon dimensions channel. The moment you open the channel, countless energies will pour in. You will digest them and use them to condense the mother nest. Your small mother nest and my real mother nest will be connected, and the energy will flow back and forth. You can absorb all energies. Besides, the insectoids and the dragons are inseparable, and the dragons themselves also possess the genes of the insectoids. So that's how it is. Then how do I control it? Jiangli, I'm afraid that the Yanhuang Corporation will discover some of my tricks. Am I going to use the blasphemy bug again? The blasphemy bug has been discovered, so you can't use it. But you can use the more exquisite heaven-stealing bug. I'll pass on the heaven-stealing technique to you now. In any case, the best energy to condense the broodmother is the energy of the dragon race. I borrowed Saint Sice's power to open the dragon dimension and obtain the broodmother's greatest power. The broodmother successfully hatched, and that's how I managed to trap him. Lil Monarch said, this is a chance. I might revive and become a saint, but I still have to rely on you. Okay, then I'll start. When Jiangli heard this, he knew that this was an opportunity. As long as the dragon dimension channel was opened, there would be enough energy for Lil Monarch to become a great god and become invincible. This is my heaven-stealing art, the martial arts of the insect race. Many mysteries are in here. You can infuse them into the depths of the mother nest to create insect race genes and develop the embryo. Lil Monarch once again sent countless mysterious thoughts over. Remember, once your mother nest is cultivated, you can communicate with my mother nest. Also, I'll tell you a secret. In the sewers where you first saw me, there's also a space-time tunnel, a spatial node. Find this node, refine it, and you can use it to reach the cultivation world. This is also a way out for you and your family. You can even move resources from the cultivation world to Earth through this tunnel and build Earth. Remember, don't give up on Earth. Even if the entire human race gives up on Earth, you can't give it up, understand? In the end, Lil Monarch fell silent. What? When Zhongli heard the last secret, he was overjoyed. There is actually a spatial node in the sewers of Xinghua City that led to the cultivation world. This was a huge fortune. Right now, he didn't have the technology to cross the universe and reach the cultivation world. He had to rely on the highest military department of humanity and go through many wormholes to reach the outside of the cultivation world. Moreover, each trip would take a long time. What did it mean to control this spatial node? It meant that there was a huge cultivation world on Earth. If that was the case, why would humans migrate to the cultivation world? The cultivation world itself was humanity's storehouse. Earth was indeed mysterious. When he regained his senses, Hong Heiyu was already beside him. Are you really going to help the Yin Huang Corporation open up the spatial node? This is a huge matter. At that time, before the Scion Giants invade Earth, the entire Earth will be filled with dragon chi. I'm afraid that more than half of humanity will die. Don't worry, Lil Monarch just gave me a perfect plan. Zhongli poured out the genetic potion and a small mother nest appeared in his hand. He poured the Yin Huang Dragon Blood genetic potion into the mother nest. The mother nest immediately started to wriggle and let out a sound that sounded like the spring gnawing on mulberry leaves. This was the awakening of the insect race. The mother nest grew a little stronger. As expected, dragon blood is the best nourishment for the mother nest. Zhongli sighed in admiration. Teacher, let's go to Xinghua City, the place where I made my fortune. Did you discover something? Hong Heiyu asked with interest. That's only natural. This time, I've obtained a huge secret. This secret can change our situation. Zhongli couldn't wait. With a swoosh, he disappeared. Hong Heiyu naturally followed beside him. Xinghua City was about 3,000 kilometers away from the capital. With their speed, they landed in less than a minute. Zhongli landed in the park. Looking at the familiar city, a sense of home involuntarily welled up in his heart. In the past 3 years, Xinghua City had undergone a large-scale construction and had already started to expand. Many tall buildings had risen from the ground. Compared to the time when he was still a student, it was more than 10 times more prosperous. However, one could still vaguely see the original appearance. The sewers were still the same sewers. Without saying a word, Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu went into the sewers. The sewers were even wider, like an underground palace. Although it was dark, damp, and filthy, both of them were experts and had divine powers. A faint energy enveloped their bodies, preventing any filth from contaminating them. This wasn't innate gang chi, but energy. It had a real form, and it was divine power. Jiangli was also in the embryonic breathing realm now, so naturally, he had divine powers. Teacher, this is where I had my fortuitous encounter. The first time I was here, I obtained the Great Emperor's relic. From then on, my cultivation was on the right track, and that's how I got to where I am today. Today, I'm revisiting this place, and I'm filled with emotions. Zhongli quickly found the place where he found the dried corpse in the sewers. Now, there was nothing here. The dried corpse had already turned into a rainbow, and there were no traces left. It could be said to be a wet dream. The sewers here were empty and damp. There were no clues found. According to what you said, this is where the dried corpse transmigrated and gave you the Great Emperor's relic. Hong Heiyu now knew that this place was very magical, and it could be a space-time tunnel. However, he couldn't find a space-time tunnel. Jiang Li, with my meditative cultivation, I'm good at discovering all kinds of cracks in the dimensions. Why are there no signs here? Let me take a look. Jiang Li said, I'll use the Great Emperor's dream imprint and use dreams to divine. I'll definitely be able to find traces of the space-time tunnel. Little Emperor is right. All right, enter the dream. I'll protect you. Hong Heiyu also knew that only Jiang Li's Great Emperor's dream imprint could find everything. Jiang Li entered the dream. In the dream, he returned to the appearance of the dried corpse in the sewers 3 to 4 years ago. Under the dried corpse's body, there seemed to be a pattern. It was a circuit formed by energy, and it was densely packed with runes that sensed the cultivation world. However, as time passed, the dried corpse died, and the energy runes under its body disappeared. Simply put, it was a transmigration magic array that connected the two worlds. The magic array had already disappeared, and it could no longer be restored. However, it was still vivid in his dream. Jiang Li's great emperor's dream had the ability to see the past and see everything. Therefore, when he woke up from the dream, his eyes lit up. "Teacher, I've understood everything. Now, let's open the cultivation world tunnel and refine this spatial node." He pressed one hand on the ground, while his other hand kept making hand seals. Lines of energy appeared on the ground and converged into twisted runes. He also started chanting incantations. These incantations were the embodiment of his mental strength. His powerful mental strength began to condense and gradually formed a magic array at the spot where the mummy had been sitting. Cultivation world's heaven's will. This is the world of demons from beyond the heavens. I'm praying now. Focus your attention here and connect the two worlds. Jiang Li chanted loudly. His voice was impassioned, and it pierced through the void. His personal strength was unable to activate this spatial node. He could only sense the cultivation world's heaven's will and use that strong force to connect the tunnel. As expected, as he chanted, suddenly, a vast force surged out from the depths of the magic array and then gradually formed a tunnel. In the depths of the tunnel, countless spiritual energy flowed out, and there was even purple energy mixed in. This was the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, an immortal energy of the cultivation world. Jiang Li was overjoyed. "Good fella, it can actually transmit elemental energy here. I've opened the tunnel." His divine will seeped in, and instantly he saw the vast cultivation world. This was indeed a spatial node. "Seo, we can't let the spiritual energy and immortal energy leak out." Hong Heiyu said, "If they leak out, it will cause a disaster. Ordinary people can't absorb immortal energy. Even embryonic, breathing realm cultivators can't refine it." As he spoke, he released a series of energy to seal this place. "Let me try this passageway and see if I can reach the world of cultivation. If my guess is correct, I can jump into the passageway and immediately reach the world of cultivation. Then, I can come back from the world of cultivation." Jiang Li was eager to try. Chapter 373. The tunnel was actually opened and led to the cultivation world. However, Jiang Li still had to verify it to see if it was safe. Normal tunnels were fine, but he was afraid of accidents. Luckily, he had a way. "Go!" He shook and chunks of flesh fell off his body. Once his flesh fell off, it was clear like a crystal. It was a crystal formed by a large number of cells. The flesh fell off and wriggled on the ground. Then, it turned into a 3-foot-tall person. It looked exactly like Jiang Li and drilled into the depths of the tunnel. Amazing! Hong Heiyu was shocked when he saw Jiang Li. "Your cultivation has reached such a level? Your cells are independent and can split into thousands? Does this mean that even if someone kills you, they can revive with just one cell?" "Theoretically, yes," Jiang Li said, "but in reality, it's very difficult. If I really only have one cell left, even if I revive, my strength will drop greatly. Also, there isn't enough energy to revive me." "I see." Hong Darkness Prison had also cultivated the Great Emperor Seal before, so he immediately understood the key point. Even so, this kind of body completely surpasses a human life form. I think even a meditative Oblivion Realm expert would not be able to do anything to you. Jiang Li nodded silently. Suddenly, his body shook and joy appeared on his face. "This tunnel is stable. It's at an abandoned, ancient teleportation array. We can go over without any problems." Now, his cell doppelganger had arrived in the cultivation world. He had sent his clone over because he was afraid that the tunnel was unstable. If it was suddenly destroyed during the journey, he would be finished. Secondly, what was on the other side of the tunnel? If it was a place where a large number of enemies gathered, Wouldn't it be suicide? Or if it was the core of a large sect, it would also be a dead end. Luckily, his clone had gone to an abandoned ancient ruin. Our luck is really good. Hong Black Prison also relaxed. Suddenly, he felt some lingering fear. I feel that we were too rash. If we open this passage, it would be the core position of a large sect. Wouldn't it cause great chaos if they came to Earth? The world of cultivation is not that strong. Zhongli thought for a moment. Those in the meditative state are also invincible over there. Saints usually don't appear. Even if we enter the core of some big sect and they rush over, I can close the passage in time. That's true. As we are in the meditative state, we are not afraid of the invasion of the cultivation world. Compared to the Scion giants, the destructive power of the people from the cultivation world is much smaller. Hong Heiyu looked at the passageway. How about it? Shall we go over? Go, Zhongli said. Actually, that ancient relic was the site of the destruction of a large sect. Back then, the mummy from the sewers transmigrated here, and he was in his own sect. We humans on Earth attacked the cultivation world and started a war in this place. At the end of the passage is the ancient battlefield of the cultivation world. Maybe we can find something there. I'm afraid I'll be discovered if I enter the cultivation world. Hong Heiyu said, I'm a meditative state cultivator after all. Once I enter it, I'll be attacked by the cultivation world's heaven's will. That's a bit troublesome. Zhongli was deeply aware of this point. Why don't I head over first? Teacher, you guard this place and think of a way to buy this piece of land. Our Crimson Emperor Corporation will carry out the construction and control this passage, making it our territory. That's a must. The value of controlling a passage is too great. Hong Heiyu thought, I'll take care of this immediately. It was very difficult for an ordinary businessman to obtain land, but it was easy for Hong Heiyu. What kind of person was he? He was in the meditative state, a human marshal, and even the highest council member on Earth had to be respectful to him. It wasn't impossible for him to take down an entire city. I'll go to the cultivation world to find a way to let Minter enter. Usually, by killing the life inside and obtaining the soul, one can deceive it. But judging from Minter's realm, I'm afraid you'll need to kill very powerful souls. I have to find a way to solve this once and for all. Zhongli moved and entered the passage with a whoosh. This passage being discovered was like grasping onto a life-saving straw. If he managed it well, his family would have a way to retreat, and he could also allow a large number of humans to migrate into the cultivation world. He would be able to gain fame in this migration and ruin the Jiang family's plan. Once he entered the passage, Zhongli felt that it was extremely spacious. It was as if he had entered an independent world. In front of this world, light appeared. He flew forward quickly and felt endless spiritual energy surging towards him from the end of the passage. Whoosh! He flew out of the passage, and as expected, his eyes lit up. He had arrived at the familiar cultivation world. At the same time, he looked at the sun in the sky. That was the vast heavens will of the cultivation world. It was getting denser and denser, and he could feel the pressure of heaven's will at all times. However, this heaven's will couldn't pressure him at all. Instead, it was very familiar to him. When he breathed, a wave of mental energy would enter his soul. It was as if the cultivation worlds will favored him a lot. He now knew that it was because he was the owner of the Grand Emperor's relic. And the creator of the Grand Emperor's relic might be the creator of the cultivation world will. This way, he would have an inseparable connection with the cultivation world's will. With the Grand Emperor's relic, he would be able to come and go as he pleased in the cultivation world and wouldn't be restricted by heaven's will. On the contrary, killing invaders could even be rewarded by heaven's will. In front of him was indeed an ancient battlefield. There were huge and dilapidated temples and palaces everywhere. Everything had been destroyed by violence. Zhongli could even see some fallen battleships in the distance. Those were the battleships of humans from Earth. Back then, humans from Earth had invaded the cultivation world. There were many battles that affected many places. This used to be the main battlefield of an ancient sect. Now, it had dispersed and no one cared about it. However, Zhongli could still see the traces of a bitter battle. There were many deep craters on the ground that were thousands of zhang deep, as though they were caused by meteors crashing down. These were the traces of fists, and under a single punch, rivers and seas were overturned. Under a single punch, mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. This place was deserted. Under Jiang Li's feet was an ancient teleportation array. It seemed to be made of something. It was the color of green jade, and there were countless ancient patterns carved on it. It was extremely tough, and even with his methods, he couldn't move it at all. However, this teleportation array was covered in dust and couldn't be used at all. Moreover, it could be shut down at any time. Jiang Li was shocked. If the teleportation array was shut down, he wouldn't be able to go back. This was because every person who returned from the cultivation world had to have a record. He didn't go back through the proper channel. If he went back, he would be investigated. Even an idiot would know that he knew the secret of the channel. This teleportation array seems to still have some ancient power. Jiang Li checked the surroundings. He used his spiritual will and discovered that there were some celestial stones buried under the teleportation array. It was these celestial stones that were driving the teleportation array's power. Once the energy of the celestial stones was used up, the teleportation array would shut down. According to my calculations, this teleportation array can be opened for about a month before it closes. Jiang Li calculated. As long as there are celestial stones to support it, it can be maintained. This is an ancient battlefield, and there are few people here. I have to find a chance to let my teacher come over and build a sect here to maintain the teleportation array. This teleportation array wasn't in his hands, and it wasn't suitable. Only if Hong Heiyu came over to manage it would he be able to control the situation. A meditative realm expert was enough to build a big sect. In the cultivation world, meditative realm experts were also supergiants. Jiang Li stepped out of the teleportation array and looked at the cultivation world. He took a breath of vital qi and instantly felt at ease. There was no spiritual energy on Earth, let alone celestial energy. After he advanced to the embryonic breathing realm, this was the first time he came to the cultivation world. He felt that the whole world structure was completely different. In the past, he didn't think much of the cultivation world. Now he could see some clues. In the depths of the void, a huge amount of spiritual energy formed a majestic vitality. The vitality of any planet, even the Emperor's star, was not worth mentioning compared to this world. As he breathed, it was as if thousands of experts were breathing at the same time. In the depths of the sky, a vast amount of spiritual energy descended. The wind and clouds changed colors and surged in all directions. Under the effect of his mental energy, the spiritual energy transformed into a huge waterfall that was dozens of kilometers long. It shot down and entered his body. Other than that, there were traces of purple energy in the spiritual energy. That was the highly condensed energy of the cultivation world's celestial energy. If one looked from afar, they would see thousands of long white rainbows suddenly appear in the sky. They crossed the sky and the earth and gathered in one place. The spiritual energy gathered in Jiang Li's body. It was compressed, stored, and transformed into cells. These cells were injected into the queen egg. The half-finished queen egg started to grow. In a short while, the spiritual energy Jiang Li absorbed was already close to saturation. His mental energy was very strong. It had 60 dimensional units. Normally, in an ordinary place, he could get the equivalent of 60 grams of spiritual stones after absorbing for a day. However, this ancient battlefield was a treasured land. It was equivalent to 10 times the spiritual energy of an ordinary place. He could get a lot of spiritual energy after absorbing for a while. Of course, this was far from enough. If he built a heaven and earth infinite stratagem here, with the help of various feng shui stratagems, he could increase the density of the spiritual energy to 1,000 times, or even 10,000 times. All of this had to wait for Hong Heiyu to come and build it. Just as he stopped absorbing the spiritual energy and was thinking of ways to get celestial stones to maintain the teleporting stratagem's operation for a long time, his ears suddenly twitched. He seemed to have sensed someone appearing in the distance. As expected, In the distant sky, he saw a few rays of sword light. They were thousands of meters long and flew above the ancient battlefield with a rumble. Chapter 374. What a strong sword light. He must be an expert. Don't let them discover the teleportation array. Zhongli suddenly moved. A crystal cell spread out and enveloped the entire teleportation array. Then, the crystal cell turned into an ordinary gray color, like dust. The originally green, jade-colored teleportation array was now a wasteland. As if sensing the energy fluctuations, the sword lights suddenly retracted and landed on the ground like meteors. They appeared in front of Zhongli. They were 3 men. The 3 men were all wearing armor. They weren't modern mechas, but a type of refined magic treasure. They were wrapped around their bodies, flashing with runes and light. They looked extremely strong and indestructible. They were magic treasures made from special metals and the scales of some powerful creatures. They were much stronger than human mechas, but the disadvantage was that they couldn't be mass-produced. Zhongli was proficient in refining magical equipment in the cultivation world. He was also proficient in technological manufacturing methods. He knew that the two were different approaches to achieve the same result. However, the unique characteristic of magical equipment was that every magical equipment was unique. It was not something that could be mass-produced using technological means. In fact, the insectoid race's methods were something between technology and magic treasures. It was a type of biological technology, but it was also a type of cultivation life form transformation. Who are you? Among the 3 men in armor, one of them looked like a hawk and had the aura of an ambitious and ruthless character. Why are you here? Do you know where this place is? Why? Zhongli smiled. This is an ancient battlefield. I'm here to pay my respects to my deceased seniors. What does that have to do with you? As for you, which sect are you from? What are you doing here? This is the ruins of my original sect. The sewer mummy was a key figure in the sect. Zhongli obtained its legacy and the emperor relic. He could be said to be the person who destroyed the sect. What? You're from the emperor's sect? The 3 men were shocked. Then, the eagle-eyed man showed an obvious sneer. Then, you must know the whereabouts of your sect's treasure, the great emperor's relic? Just which sect are you from? Zhongli saw that the 3 men didn't come with good intentions, so he raised his voice. The great Emperor Gate, have been annihilated several times in the battle against the demons from beyond the sky. And you want to steal our treasures? Aren't you afraid of the wrath of the heavens? Ha! Heaven's punishment? The eagle-eyed man laughed out loud. Our Imperial Heaven sect isn't afraid of the wrath of the heavens. This time, we came to the ancient battlefield to search for transcendent artifacts, but we didn't expect to find a living transcendent artifact. How about this? Don't leave and tell me all your secrets. It doesn't matter if you don't tell us. We will perform a soul-searching technique and make you tell us everything you know. Another man walked over. This man was tall and sturdy, like a black bear or an iron tower. His voice was like thunder, giving off a type of soul-shaking heavenly might. He took a step forward and spread open his fingers. Each of his fingers was like a pillar that suddenly shrouded down. Rumble. A violent energy formed a net and fell down from above. Imperial Heaven, giant mountain town. He performed his martial arts with a majestic aura. Each of his actions had the might of a sovereign descending upon the world. With his palm strike, even a building would be crushed into dust. It was a pity that he was facing Zhongli, who was calm and collected. You're courting death. Zhongli suddenly attacked. The instant he struck out with his palm, the world changed color. The sun and moon lost their light, and all light dimmed. The man's energy seemed to have hit the ocean, dissipating into nothingness. Zhongli switched from defense to offense, grabbing the man's throat. Gulp, gulp, a large amount of blood flowed out of the man's body, and his life force and soul withered. In an instant, only a layer of skin was left. All the valuable and nutritious things, including the saint embryo in his body, were sucked clean. Even the transcendent artifact armor on his body was wrapped by a large number of crystal cells. The crystal cells kept on wriggling, as if the bug race was breaking down and consuming minerals. They melted into the crystal cells, just like that. Some buds of the bug race didn't rely on eating flesh and blood. Instead, they specialized in eating minerals, metals, toxins, and even space. They then formed all kinds of strange nests with countless functions. Zhongli had refined the prototype of the mother nest, and he used the bug race's functions to break down the energy and minerals in the transcendent artifact for his own use. This was only natural. Evil demon. The eagle-eyed man's eyes turned bloodshot when he saw this, and he rushed forward to rescue him. The other man, on the other hand, merged with his sword and flew over, and a thunderous sword light slashed at the man's waist. Zhongli grabbed out, and the sword light froze. The man was frozen in midair, unable to move up or down. No matter how hard he tried, it was useless. Gather. Zhongli closed his palm. The huge energy collapsed inward, and the man was instantly shattered along with the sword light. He turned into a cloud of blood-colored mist and disappeared into thin air. Royal Heavenly Vital Chi. Second Primordial Spirit. Evil demon, I'll fight it out with you. A small golden person suddenly flew out from the eagle-eyed man's body. The moment it appeared, it shone with boundless light and pounced toward Zhongli. There was actually a viscous feeling, and Zhongli felt as if he had fallen into a golden liquid, unable to extricate himself. A second primordial spirit? Cultivated? Faced with such a situation, Zhongli punched out, and a vortex instantly formed. His usage of energy was at the pinnacle, and he was extremely meticulous. Streams of lightning formed a densely packed cocoon that gathered toward the center, gradually drawing in the golden light from the small golden person. He then grabbed it in his hand, and the small person was unable to escape no matter what. However, just as Zhongli was subduing this second primordial spirit, the eagle-eyed man flew up and fled into the distance. Evil demon, you remnant of the great emperor's faction, to think that you dare to kill someone from our Royal Heaven sect. Come back. Zhongli only let out a roar, and the body of the man, who had already flown over 100 kilometers away, was like a kite with its string cut. He swayed in midair and fell down. Then, he flew backward and arrived before Zhongli. He was extremely terrified. You, who on earth are you? I'm a member of the Royal Heaven sect's upper echelon, and my cultivation has already cultivated to the primordial spirit realm. Moreover, I've already reached the second stage of the primordial spirit realm, the stage of tempering the spirit. To think that you can capture me just by raising your hand. The primordial spirit realm, using the cultivation realms on Earth, was the embryonic breathing realm, condensing into a sacred embryo. The second stage of the primordial spirit realm was the second stage of the embryonic breathing realm, divine breath. Zhongli performed hypnosis and directly controlled the eagle-eyed man's body, making him fly before him. You're not bad. To think that you've cultivated a second primordial spirit. Then, you'll absorb the second primordial spirit to protect yourself and escape. Let me go. Our Royal Heaven sect has made a big move. We've already included this ancient battlefield into the territory of our sect. The man let out a long whistle, as if he wanted to inform the people in the sect. Zhongli could not be bothered with him. Suddenly, his eyes flickered, and the memories of the other party's soul gushed into his mind like a great dam that had been flooded. He usually did not absorb other people's memories because it would cause his thoughts to become chaotic. Although he had the great dream seal to neutralize it, if he were to absorb too much of it, he would still need time to neutralize it. During the period when he was neutralizing it, it was very likely that he would be attacked by others and would not be at his peak condition. In short, in the process of absorbing the soul and neutralizing the memories to maintain his sense of self, there would be a period of discomfort. It was equivalent to having his nerves split. However, these three men were all from the Royal Heaven sect, and it seemed that they were a huge sect. This was the passageway that led to Earth. If the Royal Heaven sect were to set up here, the secret of the passageway would definitely be exposed. Therefore, Zhongli could only absorb this man's memories to see what was going on and what kind of experts the Royal Heaven sect had. Surging memories entered his soul. In Jiang Li's mind, he immediately saw a huge and powerful sect. This sect had actually opened up an independent space in the depths of the cultivation world. That space was about the size of Earth, and a saint sat in the space. This saint wore a crown on his head, but his body was thin and small, and his beard was very long. As he breathed, all kinds of energy from different dimensions were sucked into this independent space of his. Runes circulated around the space and flickered incessantly. It had already become a small world. However, this small world was still unstable, and this was also a flaw of the saint. 100 years ago, the Great Emperor's Gate gathered over 3,000 sects in our world to fight against the extraterrestrial demons. However, they were defeated by the extraterrestrial demons in one fell swoop, and the Great Emperor's Gate fell as well. The undulating, baleful aura in the ancient battlefield did not subside for 100 years. However, recently, I felt that there must be benefits in the ruins of the Great Emperor's Gate. Therefore, I sent you guys to the ancient battlefield to search for it first and then build the sect there. A loud voice reverberated through the entire independent space. Then, many people from the Imperial Heaven sect were mobilized. The area of this ancient battlefield was very large, and it was equivalent to the surface area of several dozen Earths. Jiang Li digested the memories and could see that many disciples of the Imperial Heaven sect were searching the ancient battlefield at this moment. This passageway was very likely to be lost. The Imperial Heaven sect was a sect with a saint. If they occupied this ancient battlefield, Jiang Li could forget about moving freely between Earth and the cultivation world. Moreover, he could not secretly kill those disciples now. Otherwise, if he was discovered by the experts of the Imperial Heaven sect, he would probably die in the cultivation world. The power of a saint was not something that he could contend with at this moment. No, I can't keep this teleportation stratagem. Jiang Li immediately made up his mind. Take all the celestial stones here and return to Earth. At the same time, cover up this teleportation stratagem. Close the passageway to Earth's sewer. I will leave a doppelganger in the cultivation world. As he spoke, a small crystal person fell from his body. In the blink of an eye, it grew to the same size as him, but its vitality was only 20. It was also in the embryonic breathing realm. This little crystal person would also cultivate non-stop and become stronger. Jiang Li stomped his feet and returned to the teleportation stratagem. He walked into the space-time passageway and arrived on Earth in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, in the cultivation world, the small crystal person circled around the teleportation stratagem. After a while, 9 fist-sized celestial stones flew out from the teleportation stratagem and landed in the small crystal person's hands. Then, the teleportation stratagem was closed. Then, Jiang Li was in the sewer of Earth. The sewer had completely lost its spatial fluctuation and was exactly the same as before. However, Jiang Li had set up his chess piece in the cultivation world just like that. That chess piece would slowly grow. Even if Jiang Li's real body died on Earth, he could still be revived in the cultivation world. Therefore, he had already prepared a sufficient escape route for himself. Chapter 375. Although my crystal cell doppelganger has a portion of my abilities, I have just absorbed the souls and flesh of the 3 embryonic breathing realm experts and refined them, so I have replenished it. In the cultivation world, the crystal cell doppelganger can continuously absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and split. Jiang Li thought for a while and could sense everything in the cultivation world. When the crystal cell doppelganger was investigating the teleportation stratagem, information could be transmitted to his mind clearly without any obstruction. Accurately speaking, the teleportation stratagem was a plank. If it could be taken away, it would be even better. If it could be taken away from this ancient battlefield, it would not be developed by the people of the Imperial Heaven sect. If it couldn't be taken away, it could only be hidden. Jiang Li let the crystal cell doppelganger deal with these matters. He once again returned to the Red Emperor Corporation. Hong Heiyu had already bought the land in Xinghua City. In less than a day, he had started to break ground and build high-rise buildings. He had to snatch this passageway node. Otherwise, there would be a lot of trouble in the future. All these things were done by the employees of the corporation. Zhongli didn't have to worry about it. The Red Emperor Corporation was so big. Now that Marshal Goliath had been chased away, things were on the right track. He didn't have to worry about people obstructing him. Next, it was time for him to deal with the Yin Huang Corporation. If he could really use the power of the Yin Huang dragon blood to successfully condense the small mother nest, then he could transport the small mother nest into the cultivation world to develop the zergs and seize the passageway. It was killing two birds with one stone. How was it? Hong Heiyu saw that Zhongli had returned and immediately asked. Zhongli didn't say anything. A wave of mental energy was transmitted, and everything that had happened in the cultivation world just now was displayed. This kind of mental energy transmission was fast, convenient, and didn't waste time. It was much simpler and clearer than speaking. This kind of mental energy was also a common method of communication in the universe. It solved the language barrier. Some advanced civilizations didn't even have their own language and words. They all used mental energy to transmit knowledge and information. In the universe, civilizations that had their own words were still low-level civilizations. There's so many internal and external troubles. We just found a passageway, but we were targeted by the big sects on the other side of the passageway. Our luck is bad. Hong Heiyu seemed to have swallowed a bitter fruit, feeling somewhat displeased. Not necessarily. Maybe we can borrow the power of that big sect to resolve some of the bad luck. Or maybe we can kill them with a borrowed knife. Zhongli suddenly thought of many sinister plots. This included luring the giants into the cultivation world's passageway. At the same time, luring the power of the dragon dimension into the depths of the passageway. If he used it well, he might be able to cause the three forces to suffer great losses, and he might even be able to reap the benefits. The battle between the 100,000-meter-tall giant and the saint of the Imperial Heaven Sect will definitely be very fun. A smile appeared on Zhongli's face. What's your plan? Hong Heiyu asked. I don't have any plans for now, but if we take things one step at a time, we might have an unexpected ending. Zhongli said, Mentor, you can take charge of the channel. I'll contact the Yin Huang Corporation. As he spoke, he sent an email to the people of the Yin Huang Corporation. Not long after, the female secretary, He-Won, actually personally drove to the Red Emperor Corporation and met with Zhongli again. The moment they met, she greeted him with a smile. General Zhongli, have you solved the mystery of the Yin Huang Dragon Blood's genes? Not yet, but I will soon. Zhongli wasn't lying. He had placed the Yin Huang Dragon Blood in the depths of the Little Mother Nest and studied it himself. With the help of the changes in the genes of the Zerg race, he had gained some insights and experiences. If a normal Chinese were injected with the Yin Huang Dragon Blood, most of them would become a half-human, half-snake monster. This was because the genes in the bloodline were too strong, resulting in dragonification. However, if the Yin Huang Dragon Blood was purified by the Mother Nest, and the dragonified bloodline was absorbed, pure genes and power would appear. Suddenly, Zhongli's mind moved. With a smile on his face, he twisted his finger and a drop of blood appeared in his hand. This was the bloodline that had been purified by the Little Mother Nest. It was also golden in color, but the aura was mellow and not violent at all. It was like wine that had been brewed for thousands of years, and only the essence of history was left. This is the Yin Huang Dragon Blood you purified? The female secretary, He-Won, exclaimed. She took out a small bottle and placed a drop of blood inside. As she snapped her fingers, Director, what are your orders? Behind her, a warrior from the Yin Huang Corporation appeared. Drink this blood. He-Wen's order did not sound like a female secretary at all, but more like an Empress Dowager who held the power of life and death. Without hesitation, the warrior consumed the blood. Immediately, a bright light erupted from his body. His clothes burst open, and dense scales appeared all over his body. It was as if he was about to become a half-human, half-snake monster. However, he then crawled on the ground and kept rolling. The scales gradually disappeared, and his life force increased by 1 point. Go out. He-Won was overjoyed, but she did not bat an eyelid. She let the warrior go out and put on his clothes. then looked at Jiang Li with her beautiful eyes. You really purified the Yin Huang dragon snake. I didn't use technological means to purify it. It was my own strength. It's like refining a treasure, and it can't be mass-produced. Jiang Li was still smiling. He was very wary of Hewen. This woman was not inferior to Sida Wudi, and she was not human. Is this the power of the bug race? Hewen's beautiful eyes flickered, as if she had already fallen in love with Jiang Li. Seeing her like this, Jiang Li's heart trembled. Fortunately, his cultivation base was profound, and his great dream imprint could see through life and death, as well as overturn the mortal world. He knew that Hewen was secretly using some methods to charm him. Yes, this is the power of the bug race. Jiang Li flicked his finger. Dragons are actually a type of bug, or the king of bugs. The power of the bug race can suppress the genes of the dragon race. If you can have a large amount of Yin Huang dragon blood, I can convert it into dragon blood without side effects. I can build a huge blood pool. How about that? There's such a thing. Hewen was shocked. Our Yin Huang group has stored a large amount of Yin Huang dragon blood over the years. If we give it all to you, you can convert it into dragon blood without side effects and raise people's cultivation like that. Of course, Jiang Li had his own plans. If he could get a large amount of Yin Huang dragon blood to purify, even the berserk mystical dragon gene could help the mother nest grow rapidly. Looks like we have to work together for a long time. Hewen was not in a hurry to give the Yin Huang dragon blood to Jiang Li or sign another contract. But let's first discuss how to open the dragon dimensional channel and let Earth gather heaven's will. Our Huaxia will return to the era of legends. I'm very interested in this. I think it's possible to worship the dragon god, but where is the space-time channel? I have to verify it first. Jiang Li asked. Actually, he knew that the space-time channel was in the royal city, but it could only be activated with special methods. Even if he entered the royal city alone, he would not be able to find the channel. That's not a problem. Tonight, I'll bring you to see the space-time channel. Hewen's expression was mysterious. With your help, we'll have tens of millions of members. I'm also very curious about what our ancestor, the dragon god, looked like. Jiang Li sighed deliberately. After all, I'm of Huaxia blood. Night fell. Hewen and Jiang Li once again came to the depths of the royal city of Huaxia University. Jiang Li was familiar with the place, but he pretended not to know. Could it be that the dragon dimensional channel is in the royal city? That's reasonable. In ancient times, the emperors were known as the true dragon chi. The royal city must have been built in a place with dragon chi. That's right. Hewen's every move was not like that of a female secretary. She was as elegant as a dragon swaying its tail, untraceable. Miss Hewen, you look like you only have 3 or 4 vitality, but in reality, you're unfathomable. You've far surpassed my best friend, Guomeng. My best friend is very innocent, so don't try to make use of him. Jiang Li stopped and deliberately warned her. Marshal Jiang Li is a marshal. I just have some special powers. Guomeng is a genius, a seed that our Yin Huang Corporation has focused on cultivating. His future achievements will definitely be above mine. So, I'm his secretary, Hewen said. Jiang Li only smiled but did not point it out. Soon, the two of them arrived in front of the palace of heavenly purity in the ancient royal city. This is the dragon dimensional channel. Hewen pointed at the ground. Marshal Jiang Li, would you like to take a look? Of course. Jiang Li nodded. This is the origin of our Chinese ancestral bloodline. Hewen's expression gradually became solemn. I hope the marshal can be respectful. Of course. Jiang Li's expression was solemn. He pretended to be fearful, but in reality, he was ready for battle. At this time, Hewen muttered something. Suddenly, a golden light shot out from her body and turned into countless runes. They transformed into countless runes. These runes were many times stronger than the runes that Guomeng had used to open the passageway. Jiang Li's eyes turned cold. The countless runes were swimming like dragons. They shot into the ground and formed a magic array. The magic array rotated slightly, and then a space-time channel appeared. Dragon. An ancient rune appeared from within, and then a huge and vast will surged out, instantly enveloping Jiang Li's body. Jiang Li was shocked. He felt that he couldn't move at all. He felt that a great existence in the dragon dimension had targeted him. You. He looked at E1. It seemed like he wanted to escape, but his body was wrapped in golden light. He could vaguely see a dragon claw reaching out from within the channel and grabbing his body, making him unable to move. Congratulations. However, He-Wen's face was filled with joy. Marshal Jiang Li, you really have the purest Huaxia bloodline. The moment you communicated with the dragon god, you gained the dragon god's favor. Don't resist it now. Slowly integrate your thoughts with the dragon god, and you will have great achievements. You can even take a step forward on the path of a saint. In the future, you will be the #1 person on Earth. Jiang Nailin will also be suppressed by you. The dragon god is a god, far surpassing a saint. Chapter 376. Damn it, you actually want to control me and make me a follower of the dragon god. Luckily, I've been prepared for this and can inject energy into the broodmother. Not only will you not be able to control me, but you'll also make the broodmother grow rapidly. At the same time, my power will grow. Although I haven't broken through to the divine breath realm and it's hard for my life force to grow, the broodmother's growth will give me another trump card. Jiang Li had already expected this. Therefore, he didn't panic in the golden light. Instead, he let go of his internal defenses and let the energy of the golden light flow in. This golden energy had a strong majesty and a violent dragon aura, as well as a majestic power that could change genes. Crack, crack. Jiang Li only felt this wave of divine power rush into his body, and his human genes were being changed. Many of his genetic bonds broke and were replaced by even stronger genetic bonds. The genetic bonds that were 10,000 times stronger than those of a human were about to condense into a physical form. Indeed, it's going to turn a human into a dragon. This is a mystique that can steal the fortune of heaven and earth. Jiang Li's body squirmed. Insectoid broodmother, absorb energy. In the depths of the dantian of his lower abdomen was the half-finished product of the mother nest. Suddenly, it emitted the sound of tens of thousands of insects, as if millions of worker bees were buzzing. All the energy that was rushing into his body and trying to turn him into a dragon was absorbed by the mother nest. The brood mother immediately underwent an earth-shattering transformation. Jiang Li felt as if space had been created within it. With Jiang Li's cultivation, he couldn't comprehend the mysteries of space, nor could he expand space. Logically speaking, he couldn't expand the brood mother. But now, the broodmother was automatically absorbing the great power from the dragon dimension. That power contained the essence of space, and it allowed the broodmother to grow rapidly. Jiang Li even saw bug eggs being born within the broodmother. The interior of the broodmother actually opened up a space. The fist-sized broodmother gradually grew to a few cubic meters, but as the energy from the dragon dimension poured in, the space grew larger and larger. In the end, it grew to dozens of cubic meters, hundreds of cubic meters, 1 cubic kilometer, 2 cubic kilometers. Just like that, the space inside the broodmother continued to expand. It had already expanded to the size of a football field. Then, countless crystalline cells squirmed in this huge space, absorbing the dragon power and finally forming a bug. It was a kingworm. It was only a few meters long. It didn't have a head or a tail. It didn't even have eyes or a nose. It was like chaos without any orifices. However, there were countless runes on its surface. Roar. As it absorbed more energy, the patterns on its body became more and more concentrated. Its body also grew larger and larger. Finally, a furious roar came from within its body as eggs the size of a human head squeezed out of its body. Then those eggs also started hatching and turned into insects that looked like bees. However, these insects all had many tentacles and were very agile. They could change their size at will. When they were small, they were smaller than nanomachines, while when they were as big as a human fist. This was the most basic unit of the Zerg, the worker Zerg. The main job of the worker bee was to gather energy and nourish the nest. They could go out to hunt, collect minerals, build fortifications, and even research technology to create weapons. They were the workers. They gathered together and moved in unison. The overwhelming number of worker bees were under the command of the king beetle. To put it simply, the king beetle was a super biological optical computer. However, the current king beetle was created by Jiang Li. It wasn't the original king beetle, and the nest was only a replica. Therefore, it was far from being as powerful as the real Zerg. Fortunately, Jiang Li had received a lot of Zerg technology from Little Darch, so he could build it step by step, coupled with the energy from the powerful dragon race. It was like a god had created the nest for him. With such means, it was no wonder the nest had developed so quickly. In the blink of an eye, thousands of worker bees were born in this space. These worker bees shouldn't be underestimated. The construction ability of 1,000 worker bees was not something nanomachines could compare to. To put it simply, a skyscraper could be built in half an hour with 1,000 worker bees. Of course, that was under the condition that they had all the materials and enough energy. Although a worker bee was only the size of a fist, its workability was equivalent to that of tens of thousands of workers. It could secrete its own mucus and glue all kinds of materials together to build a beautiful sci-fi building. Now, with the massive energy input from the dragon race, a total of 30,000 worker bees were born in the depths of this space. Jiang Li was overjoyed as he observed the changes. With 30,000 worker bees, he could transform an entire city and turn it into a Zerg base overnight. Its defenses would be firm, and the living environment would be 100 times better than the original city. The cities built by the Zerg didn't use bricks and tiles. Everything was made of crystal cells. These crystal cells could absorb radiation and harmful substances. At the same time, they could keep warm. When they were hot, they could even release cool air and purify the impurities in the air, making the air incomparably fresh. This was a technology even more advanced than the Lord God's optical computer. The technology and buildings on the Lord God planet were all condensed from energy. They were somewhat illusory because once the energy collapsed, all the buildings would disappear like a dream. However, the Zerg's buildings were made of crystal cells. They were physical and would not disappear no matter what. It could even be said that the Zerg's buildings were alive. In the Palace of Heavenly Purity, Huan only saw the Dragon Dimension's energy continuously pouring into the magic formation. Jiang Li didn't move at all, as if he was a puppet that was gradually being transformed. She couldn't help but smile. Not bad, not bad. The Dragon God's blessing will transform Jiang Li into a true member of the dragon race in preparation for occupying Earth. However, she didn't know that the energy had already entered Jiang Li's body, causing the mother nest to grow. It evolved into a king bug and even worker bees, and it was still evolving. Jiang Li was very clear about this. Because of his realm, his own vitality couldn't be increased, so his cells couldn't completely absorb the dragon race's energy. This benefited the mother nest. If the mother nest continued to develop like this, it was very likely that it would evolve again and reach the second stage. The king bug would give birth to killer bugs. Worker bees were the most primitive insects born in the mother nest. They were used to collect, build, and manufacture. Although they could also be used to fight, they were definitely not as good as other insects. In the Zerg race, the insects used to fight were called killer bugs. They were the true demons that only fought and didn't do anything, somewhat similar to the ant race's soldier ants. The first stage of the mother nest's evolution was to hatch a large number of worker bees, build a base, and strengthen the nest. The second stage was to have enough energy to hatch the killer bugs. Jiang Li absorbed a large amount of dragon race's energy and expanded the mother nest. Originally, it would take at least 100 years to condense the killer bugs to reach this stage. But now, it had such a function in less than half an hour. It was really opportunistic. A large number of worker bees gathered in the nest, and when there were 30,000, the king bug stopped being born. Instead, it was condensing energy and giving birth to killer bugs. The Dragon Dimension's energy was still rushing out, whistling and surging. The king bug wriggled more and more violently. In the end, a pitch-black light flickered in its body, like a black hole that wanted to absorb all the energy. puffed. An egg was spat out, and then the egg was still absorbing energy. Finally, it cracked and gave birth to a bug. This bug looked like a human, but its whole body was made of white bones. It was only 3 inches tall and gradually grew to the size of a baby. It held a scythe-like weapon in its hand, and there were bone spurs on its back. It wriggled and made a crashing sound, full of murderous intent. This was a killer bug that was specially born for battle. Zhongli could see that once this killer bug was born, it had a monstrous, murderous intent, as if it had gathered all the ruthless qi in the universe. Its newly born strength could completely kill an embryonic breathing realm expert. However, every time a killer bug was born, it was unknown how much energy was wasted. Moreover, the killer bug was used to consume energy, and it wouldn't absorb energy. The function of absorbing energy had to be done by the worker bees. Roar! In the mother nest, the king bug began to wriggle again. Zhongli could clearly feel that it was equivalent to a super-optical computer, far surpassing the Moses ship and even the Fuxi ship. It could almost be compared to the humans' Nuwa ship. It controlled the worker bees and was calculating at every moment. Store more energy in the mother nest. I don't need the killer bugs. It's better to give birth to more worker bees now. The worker bees also need energy. Zhongli had a thought, and the berserk dragon-dimensional energy that had surged and settled in the depths of the mother nest. It was stored as food for the bug clan. These worker bee bugs also needed large amounts of energy every day. Without the support of energy, they would also wither and die, just like how humans needed to eat every day. Hence, the bug clan had an aggressive nature. It was because the bug clan army needed too much energy every day. They had no choice but to invade planet by planet, dimension by dimension. They risked their lives just to fill their stomachs. Right now, Zhongli's small mother nest had 30,000 worker bees, 1 king bug, and 1 killer bug. If he wanted to maintain their lives, the number of spirit stones needed to be at least tens of kilograms. Zhongli would go bankrupt in a few days if he were to raise such an army. Hence, he borrowed the dragon-dimensional energy and stored it so that no more worker bees could be produced. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to afford it. The dragon-dimensional energy settled in the mother nest and was devoured by the worker bees. Then, it was transformed into some golden liquid that resembled honey. It gathered into a river and condensed into a topaz lake to be stored. In the future, if the worker bees didn't have anything to eat outside, they would rely on this to replenish their nutrition. Dragon Qi was a food of a much higher grade than spirit Qi. Zhongli could even feel the joy of the worker bees. This is great. This Dragon Qi is a great nourishment for the bug clan. I need more of it and store it. In the future, I won't have to spend so much effort to find food to feed these worker bees. Even a saint would have to spend a fortune to raise an army of insectoids. At this moment, Zhongli couldn't wait for more energy to be transmitted through the passageway, more ferocious. Chapter 377. The dimensional channel opened, and the dragon's energy poured in endlessly. Zhongli's body was like the ocean, and he could take in any amount of energy. He, who was watching from the outside, was secretly shocked. Who is this Zhongli? The dragon god's empowerment, the power of the dragon dimension, and the bombardment of the heavens will, with the strongest secret method, even an expert at the 3rd level of the meditative state would be unable to withstand it, and the small world that was opened up would probably explode in just a moment. Experts at the 3rd level of the meditative realm could open up a small world in their body to store energy. For ordinary people, such experts could absorb energy endlessly for their own use. Of course, there was a limit to this endlessness. Right now, the power of the dragon god's empowerment exceeded this limit. He was a little confused. She didn't know that Zhongli was expanding the mother nest, and he could absorb as much energy as he wanted. As long as the power of the dragon god's empowerment continued, in a few years or even decades, Zhongli could expand the mother nest to the size of Earth, or even the entire Earth. As long as there was enough energy, the insect race could do things that humans couldn't imagine. Zhongli also hoped that the energy would continue. As time went on, the mother nest would accumulate to its peak, and it would advance again. Over time, it wouldn't be difficult to communicate with the mother nest on little Thearka's side. Unfortunately, this energy was just a reward, and it couldn't last forever. The energy started to tremble, and suddenly a will came out of the channel, bringing with it an irresistible heavenly might. At this moment, Jiang Li's soul seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. This is the final control. As Little Darch expected, it's the heaven-stealing technique. Jiang Li was shocked. He knew that this was the great will of the dragon dimension. It wanted to control him, first pouring energy into him, and then the will would descend, and he would become a puppet. However, he was prepared. His body moved, and a mysterious aura appeared on the king insect in the depths of the mother nest. It was dreamy and dazzling. This was the aura of the heaven-stealing insect. Jiang Li even used the Great Dream Seal. Immediately, the entire interior of the mother nest was filled with a confusing dreamscape. The will that could control an expert in the meditative tranquil realm entered the mother nest and fell into the dreamscape. Unexpectedly, it took the form of a dragon. This dragon was ferocious, violent, and seemed to be in control of everything. It was a controlling will that had originally been used to control Jiang Li as a puppet. Now, it had fallen into the depths of the nest and was trapped in a dream. Sooner or later, its mind would be devoured by the king bug and assimilated, increasing the power of the nest. What a strong will, but it's a pity that it's useless against me. In front of the Great Dream imprint and the insect race's heaven-stealing art, how can it possibly control me? Jiang Li sneered in his heart. Although his life force didn't increase much, the worker bees, killer bugs, king bugs, and more importantly, the space the size of a football field condensed in the nest provided him with a place to live. Ever since Lil Darch took away the Grand Emperor's relic, he had lost his spatial artifact, which was a lot of inconveniences. Now that he had a space, he could use it to save many people in the future. However, a space the size of a football field couldn't save many people on Earth. Like the Grand Emperor's relic, it had an area of hundreds of square kilometers in a space that was thousands of meters tall. Once the will was controlled and confused, the energy in the dragon dimensional passage gradually calmed down and the golden light disappeared. He returned to freedom. The dragon god's empowerment ended just like that. He went asked after being dazed for a while. Jiang Li trembled and said with a pious expression, "I have already understood the dragon god's mysteries. I will definitely follow the dragon god's will and open the passage so that the people of Huaxia can return to the mythological era. Everyone can pull up mountains, fill seas, and control rivers." Good. Hewen had some doubts at first, but seeing that Jiang Li didn't seem to be lying, plus she believed in the power of the dragon god, she couldn't help but clap and cheer. In fact, she didn't know that back then, Jiang Li's cultivation was 100 times weaker than it was now, but he could still deceive Saint Sisa. Now that he had cultivated to the embryonic breath realm and became the great emperor's embryo, he had cultivated many times and integrated the Scion Giant's bloodline. It was comparable to meditating, forming the Great Dream Seal, comprehending life and death, getting pointers from Lil Darch, and comprehending the art of stealing heaven. That dragon dimension was just a wisp of will. How could it not be deceived? General Jiang Li, now that you've been rewarded by the dragon god, you could be considered one of us. Next, we need to worship the dragon god, develop believers, open up the situation, and make more people worship. Then, with the power of faith from everyone, we can completely open the passage. He would observe the changes in Jiang Li. That can be done. Jiang Li said calmly. But now that the upper echelons of humanity are investigating all the passages on Earth, we'll be pressured by the upper echelons if there's any big movement here. I have an idea. What idea? Hewen frowned. She felt that Jiang Li's words weren't truthful. It's simple, wait. Jiang Li knew that Hewen was very suspicious of him. Once something went wrong, she might make a move, and it will be difficult to deal with. He said calmly, when Earth starts to be in chaos, then the government won't have time to worry about us, and we can make a big move. Think about it. If the seal on Earth is broken and the alien civilization invades, and begins to migrate, I'll lead the billions of people in the 36 Hua cities to worship the dragon god and pray for his blessings. And it just so happens that the dragon god will appear at this time. Won't everyone follow him? That makes sense. He would seem to be persuaded. There's another reason. If we act now and the upper echelons find out, I'm afraid I'll be killed. You also know that the Jiang family has their eyes on me. I'm developing a cult and endangering the safety of the public. When the great calamity comes, there won't be so many concerns. We can use the panic of the great calamity to win the hearts of the people in one fell swoop. At the same time, with the hearts of the people, the dragon god will descend and kill the invading alien creatures. That will be even more impressive, and we might even be praised by all of humanity in one fell swoop. If we protect Earth's mother planet, we'll have righteousness and status. In the future, the Yellow Flame cult can even surpass the Western Cross cult and occupy the mainstream position in society. In time, won't the dragon god have more and more believers? He spoke with fervor and assurance, and his words were reasonable. General, you're really something. No wonder the Jiang family can't do anything to you, even though they're so powerful. When Hewen heard this, her eyebrows relaxed. I'm relieved, but you don't have to worry. You can secretly develop your forces now and bring your sister and parents in as well. They're also of pure Huaxia bloodline. Once they receive the blessing of the dragon god, their lifespan and vitality will be greatly increased. Of course, Zhongli didn't refute. All right, then things will be easy. We'll bring the Yin Huang dragon blood over and let you handle it. Then purify it into dragon blood without side effects and increase the strength of the members. Hewen thought about it and immediately began to lay out the plan. This was blatantly taking advantage of him. Originally, the Yin Huang dragon blood was a type of gene potion with huge side effects. It would turn a person into a human-headed snake monster. However, once the side effects were removed, it would be an excellent medicine. Just based on this point, the value of the Yin Huang group would increase several times. No problem. I'll go back and prepare the blood pool. Zhongli flashed and disappeared, leaving Hewen in place. Strange. Hewen looked at the sealed passage and muttered to herself, I keep feeling that something's not right. Usually, people who are possessed by the dragon god are as respectful as him, but they seem to be a little too shrewd. They still have some of their own ideas. Father wanted me to come to Earth to occupy this world point and use it as a springboard to invade the other worlds. However, although the humans on Earth are weak, the strong ones are simply sick. Even Father might not be able to suppress people like Jiang Nailan. We can only make plans. We'll start with the Huaxia people and turn them into Father's believers. Then, we'll gradually control the situation and develop a church like the angels. We'll take root among the humans and form a solid faith that can't be destroyed. I hope that this Jiangli can be used by Father. Our dragon race will be able to have a place in the dragon dimension after controlling the humans on Earth. As she spoke, she disappeared into thin air. This kind of speed was not something that the meditative mind realm could compare to. At this time, Jiangli was already on the Red Emperor Group's island. The east was turning white, and the sun was about to rise from the horizon. A new day was about to arrive. I finally understand. Zhongli sneered. The one behind that passage isn't the dragon god at all. It might just be a saint dragon from the dragon dimension. It wants to invade Earth, but it's afraid that the saints on Earth will join forces to kill it. It can only hide in the dark and use some tricks. Otherwise, how could the real dragon god only have such little power and be bewitched by me? The dragon dimension was extremely huge. Even 1,000 galaxies wouldn't be enough to describe its size. There were countless peerless experts. The will of the dimension was like a god among gods, a god among gods. It could crush the cultivation world with a snap of its fingers. This kind of existence exceeded the limits of human imagination. If it wanted to deal with Zhongli, even a slight movement would be enough to crush Zhongli. However, that kind of existence was too huge. In front of it, Zhongli was not even comparable to a bacterium. It was so huge that Zhongli couldn't even be seen. Even Earth was no different from dust in the eyes of that existence. Therefore, when Zhongli received the energy transmission, he knew that it was definitely not the will of the dragon dimension plane. It was just one of the powerful existences. Once he could distinguish it, it would be easy to deal with it. Although the saint of the dragon race was strong, it wasn't invincible. Jiangli, did you find out any secrets this time? Hong Heiyu saw that Jiangli had returned and thought for a long time. He couldn't help but say worriedly that he one is very strong. You have to be careful. Don't ask a tiger for its skin and get plotted against instead. It's nothing. This time, I actually refined the mother nest and obtained a good artifact. Jiangli said, this matter is still under my control. Do you want me to contact the Huaxia Group's experts and find a chance to surround that He-Wen and capture her in one fell swoop? She's a scourge after all. Hong Heiyu was still worried about such an alien expert among the humans. Chapter 378. Please don't. Jiangli heard his mentor Hong Heiyu's thoughts and hurriedly stopped him. This woman is unfathomable. Her cultivation is not below Sitawudi's. I think only a saint can suppress her. Moreover, she has the support of a dragon dimensional almighty. If she fails, Earth will suffer a devastating blow. It's not worth it. This woman is that powerful. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Hong Heiyu also had some doubts. Sitawudi is the number one human below the saint level. His cultivation is earth-shattering. If this woman is so powerful, her vitality is probably 200. Anyway, I'm not sure I can deal with her. Jiangli said, when I came into contact with the dragon dimensional energy, I analyzed her strength. She's not a human, but a dragon. There's no doubt that she's very strong. If we leave her like this, she will always be a scourge. Those who are not of the same race will definitely have different intentions, especially at this critical juncture. Hong Black Prison said, I feel that she might still want to deal with you. She will not be at ease with you. It's fine. We're friends now, not enemies. Jiangli thought about it. The best way is to get someone else to do the dirty work. If the Jiang family comes to make things difficult for me, I can use the power of the Yanhuang Corporation to teach them a lesson. It would be best to provoke a conflict between this person and the Jiang family. Then, they would attack each other. That way, I would be able to probe her and the Jiang family's trump cards. Finally, I would lure Jiang Nailin out to fight with the old dragon behind the Yanhuang Corporation. That's perfect. That's a good idea. Hong Heiyu's eyes also lit up. Next, I'll wait and accumulate strength in secret, Jiangli said. I'll migrate my parents to the main god planet and my sister too. That way, I won't have anything to worry about. No matter how chaotic Earth is, I can still retreat. Of course. First, settle your family, and we'll be invincible. The elite zone of the main god planet is the safest. Even if a saint attacks, it'll be useless. Hong Heiyu nodded. Why do humans want to migrate to the elite zone? Firstly, the technology there was advanced, diseases could basically be treated, education was good, and the environment was good. The second reason was safety. The entire planet was surrounded by boundless energy, and a saint was overseeing it. He could rampage through the depths of a universe like an overlord. Even in multiple dimensions, sages were still very powerful existences, so the main god planet was absolutely safe. The primary god planet was like heaven on earth, a divine kingdom on earth. With Jiang Li's identity, he could immigrate with his family. Leave this to me. I'm a marshal now. It won't be a problem for me to arrange for a few people to migrate to the elite zone. Hong Heiyu thought about it. Settle this as soon as possible. Go do it now. Also, the land near the park in Xinghua City has been purchased and construction has begun. It will be completed soon. These are all trivial matters. Jiangli made a grabbing motion, and immediately, many crystal cells surged out. In just a short while, they had formed a large pool on the ground. The crystal cells in the pool squirmed and secreted a mucus that had a fragrant scent. This was a blood pool created by the Zerg. As long as the Yanhuang dragon blood was placed in this blood pool, the berserk genes could be purified. Most human gene potions can't be used. The risk is extremely high. However, I have grasped the technology of the bug race and can condense this blood pool. This blood pool can eliminate all the risks of genetic potions, making it suitable for humans to use. With this, We can start a genetic company. Zhongli pointed at the blood pool as he spoke. His mother nest had hatched, and it indeed had the ability to change gene potions. Many of the Zerd technology could be completed by the mother nest. Actually, the mother nest that was the size of a football field was just a laboratory, a research facility. Those worker bees were more reliable than any researcher. Just like that, the blood pool had just been created when the flying car outside stopped. It was Hewen again. Hong Heiyu was nervous. This woman was just a secretary on the surface, but she was an extraterrestrial dragon race creature similar to Sidawudi. Once she started to cause trouble, no one could stop her. But Zhongli did not care. My blood pool has been created. I can convert the berserk genes into Yin Huang dragon blood. Miss Hewen, you must have brought a large amount of Yin Huang dragon blood with you? Wonderful. Hewen smiled. I did indeed bring a batch of Yin Huang dragon blood. As she spoke, she spun a ring on her finger. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A gush of golden blood gushed out and entered the blood pool. In a short while, the blood pool was filled. Then the blood pool squirmed, and the golden blood gradually became a bright yellow like amber. It did not have the dominance of the golden light, but instead had the gentleness of jade. As the saying went, a modest gentleman was as gentle as jade. The violent and domineering dragon race bloodline was completely cleansed, leaving only the purest power. Good. Hewen waved her hand, and the ring on her finger sucked in all the purified blood. There were at least a few tons of it. Amazing. Is this the Zerd technology? If you can purify the Yin Huang dragon blood, you can definitely purify other gene potions, right? Why don't we work together again and monopolize the human gene potion market? Gene potions can't be used arbitrarily. Otherwise, humans won't work hard to cultivate and will switch to gene potions. That way, there will be a gap in cultivation. Moreover, using gene potions has no effect on people's hearts. Instead, because power comes too easily, it will cause people to relax. Zhongli said, moreover, I don't have a lot of gene potions to convert. The market doesn't have enough supply. That's true. Hewen said, we can discuss this matter. As they spoke, suddenly, an urgent mail came from the marshal's medal on Jiang Li's wrist. Marshal Jiang Li, the upper echelons of the elite area have sent down many marshals. They are holding a meeting on the Bermuda Triangle aircraft carrier. Please hurry over immediately. The email also said many other things, but they were all related to the Earth's Great Migration. At the same time, Hong Heiyu also received the mail. It's starting so soon? Zhongli felt that he was not ready yet. At least the passage to the cultivation world had not been opened yet. Jiang Haiyang is among them? He's a candidate for the presidency. Hong Heiyu looked at the list of marshals and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Jiang Haiyang is here too? Hewen's expression was solemn. This person is unfathomable. He's the number one person in the Jiang family after Jiang Nailin. Although it's said that his vitality is only 108, in reality, it far exceeds this number. This time, there will be great turmoil on Earth. He came to preside over the Earth's great migration. He clearly wants to win the hearts of the people and build momentum for the election. If he can gain the trust of the people with this move, then the presidency will be within reach. Jiang Nailin seems to have another trick up her sleeve. That is, after the Jiang family becomes the president, they can control the main god's AI, completely refine it, and become the only one of humanity. The Jiang family is extremely ambitious. They even tried to swallow up our Yin Huang Corporation several times. There's such a thing. Hearing Hewen say this, Zhongli was actually secretly happy. This meant that the Yin Huang Corporation also hated the Jiang family. Miss Hewen, the marshals are gathering to discuss the migration of Earth. I'm one of the Bermuda Triangle now. Jiang Li's mind moved. Do you want me to bring you along? No need. My words carry little weight. I won't be able to show up in that kind of situation. Hewen smiled lightly. When you've arranged everything, we'll carry out the plan. No problem. Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu looked at each other and flew up. In an instant, they disappeared over the sea. Hewen's expression was strange. She also disappeared and followed Jiang Li to the Bermuda Triangle. Teacher, that Hewen will definitely follow. On the sea, Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu communicated telepathically. I wonder if she'll help me later? Be careful. The Jiang family actually sent Jiang Haiyang this time. This is no small matter. He's the person who's going to be the next president. Also, there aren't many days left until the voting. Some planets have even started handing out ballots. According to the law, President Slock can't be re-elected. Once the Jiang family obtains control of the Lord God's AI, and Jiang Nalan refines it, all of humanity will be controlled by the Jiang family. We won't be able to stay on the Lord God planet anymore. We can't let Jiang Haiyang succeed in the presidential election. Jiang Li knew that the Lord God's AI was a virtual godhead. Although it wasn't as powerful as the Emperor's relic, it had earth-shattering power after being activated. If Jiang Nalan succeeded, with her cultivation, she might really be able to fight against the cultivation world's heavenly will. When that time came, Jiang Nalan would become a god. No matter how powerful he and Little the Arch were, they wouldn't be able to make a comeback. The other party was truly capable of manipulating the weather with a flip of his hand. "We're here," Hong Heiyu shouted, interrupting Jiang Li's thoughts. They were already in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. The huge aircraft carrier was in front of them, and the seal was still there. However, Jiang Li sensed many auras soaring into the sky. It seemed that the marshals had started to gather. The gathering this time was filled with human experts. The people in the elite zone wouldn't let their guard down when it came to the fate of Earth. The migration of tens of billions of people was the biggest event in human history. Jiang Li saw Jiang Xinyue immediately. At this moment, Jiang Xinyue wasn't the main character. She stood beside a tall, middle-aged man, and her body seemed petite. Jiang Xinyue was extremely tall, more than 9 meters. The middle-aged man beside her was actually about the same height as her. However, at a glance, everyone could tell that he was several times taller than Jiang Xinyue. He was like a giant. This kind of mental illusion was so painful that it made people want to vomit blood. This was because this person's aura affected everyone's mind. He was like a Buddha at all times, leaving a sacred mark in everyone's hearts. This was a sign that he was about to show his divinity. Even Sidhu Wudi didn't have such a strong aura. Damn, he really hid his strength. Sidhu Wudi was known as the #1 person below the saint level, but now it seems that it was just an empty title. Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu landed directly on the aircraft carrier. The middle-aged man, Jiang Haiyang, didn't even look at them. It seemed that in his eyes, Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu were two little ants, not worth mentioning. Jiang Xinyue and Jiang Haiyang were gathered together. There were two other people beside them. They were obviously elders of the Jiang family. Besides them, Jiang Li saw Walunga and more than 10 Westerners. They were all marshals. Sito Bolong was also among them. He was chatting with Walunga, seemingly discussing something. When he saw Jiang Li land, his expression became complicated. He seemed to be warning Jiang Li to be careful. Chapter 379. When Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu arrived on the carrier, they attracted the attention of many marshals present. After all, Jiang Li was now an influential figure. He wasn't meditating, but he had become a marshal and had the ability to resist a nuclear explosion. This might be second to none in human history. Many marshals present had only seen his videos and hadn't seen him in person. Now that they saw him in person, they didn't think much of him. His life force seemed weak, his aura wasn't strong, and he wasn't special either. He was very ordinary. However, those who were observant knew that this was Jiang Li hiding himself. Powerful people were usually very ordinary. Only those who were half-baked would show off their abilities and not know when to restrain themselves. A treasured sword was the most terrifying when it was in its sheath because no one knew when it would come out. When a trump card was revealed, it wasn't a trump card anymore. "All right, everyone is here," Jiang Haiyang suddenly spoke. "This time, Earth is going to undergo a great migration. Although it's the highest secret of humanity, it's not a secret to you. Everyone here is a marshal with great authority and unparalleled strength that can suppress all disturbances. That's why the Senate sent us here. This migration requires everyone's combined efforts. I'll say this up front. If anyone dares to disobey my orders, I'll kill them on the spot. These words were very domineering and arrogant. Jiang Haiyang showed his strong side. Many marshals present were equivalent to human governors. They had more than enough power to control a planet. When had they ever been lectured like this? Immediately, many people's expressions became unnatural. Even Walunga's expression changed slightly. He seemed very unhappy. However, no one dared to make a fuss. Jiang Haiyang was clearly trying to establish his authority. Moreover, the Senate had sent many marshals here to preside over the migration of Earth. He was indeed the leader. This was also an order from the highest military department. As long as he didn't go overboard, everyone could bear with it. Moreover, among these marshals, there were a few who followed his lead. Jiang Haiyang was indeed the most popular candidate in the presidential election. He also had a group of powerhouses around him. Such arrogance. Jiang Li was very unhappy, but he endured it and waited for a chance to kill Jiang Haiyang. He was irreconcilable with the Jiang clan, and if there was a chance to kill this presidential candidate, he definitely wouldn't let it go. Once Jiang Haiyang was killed, the Jiang family's chance of becoming the president would be gone. Jiang Li would never allow the Jiang family to have two saints. Jiang Haiyang had succeeded in the presidential election and gained control of the Lord's AI, which made him a saint. Although this saint could only be in office for 4 years, 4 years was enough to eliminate any opposition forces. However, even though Jiang Li was patient, Jiang Haiyang didn't give him the chance. Whoosh! Jiang Haiyang looked at him with a murderous look. But before that, I have to confirm whether any of us have been possessed by extraterrestrial creatures. Extraterrestrial creatures have been invading human society for a long time. They have even started to infiltrate the upper echelons of human society. We must not let our guard down. If you encounter any extraterrestrial life forms, kill them without mercy. Jiang Li's heart tightened. He knew that Jiang Haiyang wouldn't let him go. Jiang Li, as expected, Jiang Haiyang blurted out these 2 words, pointing the spearhead at him. What is it? Jiang Li sneered and stood up straight. Marshal Haiyang, what can I do for you? I heard that you obtained Zerg technology. Is that true? Jiang Haiyang's tone was sharp and almost interrogative. That's right, I did obtain Zerg technology. Jiang Li was calm. He knew that Jiang Haiyang wanted to establish his authority and would first make things difficult for him. However, how could he show weakness? Then why didn't you hand it over to the government and use it for your own personal gain? You even tried to murder Saint Sisa and endanger the safety of mankind. Your actions have already raised suspicions. I now suspect that you are colluding with the Zergs to destroy mankind. This is a heinous crime. Kneel down immediately and let me investigate. I will hand you over to the military court. Jiang Haiyang didn't move, but his aura locked onto Jiang Li. It seemed like he was about to attack. In an instant, Jiang Li felt a pressure as heavy as a mountain. Jiang Haiyang's cultivation was indeed earth-shattering and undefeatable. When he was angry, he was like a god. He was indeed infinitely close to becoming a saint. No wonder he could become a presidential candidate. Jiang Li finally believed that no presidential candidate was a good person. How could the president of mankind be ordinary? However, the greater the pressure, the stronger Jiang Li's resistance. His body trembled, and his cells slowly absorbed the pressure around him. Whether it was energy or mental pressure, he could absorb it all with his emperor's body. Wait, seeing that Jiang Haiyang's aura was getting stronger and stronger, and that he was about to attack Jiang Li, Waranga moved and appeared in front of Jiang Li. Marshal Haiyang, I'm afraid this matter needs to be discussed at length. We're all marshals, the upper echelons of humanity, so we can't just sentence each other. Plus, Jiang Li just made a great contribution to humanity by killing countless giants and helping Mr. Sidawudi capture a 3,000-meter-tall giant. There's video evidence of all this. If he hadn't stopped the giant from coming out, I'm afraid humanity on Earth will be facing a disaster. What? The Huaxia Corporation is also colluding with the Zergs? Are they planning to destroy all of mankind? Jiang Haiyang looked at Walunga coldly. He didn't elaborate and just slapped a charge on him. Yes, The Huaxia Corporation has been plotting against mankind for a long time. We need to investigate this as well. A Jiang family powerhouse beside Jiang Haiyang stood up and said sarcastically. This person was called Jiang Haichao. He was also a marshal, a meditative-level powerhouse. From this, it could be seen that the Jiang family had many talents and occupied half of the world. Among the hegemonic forces of mankind, the Jiang family was becoming more and more powerful. They were almost on par with the main god group. Hong Heiyu, you built a base at Star Sky University and colluded with the natives of the Imperial Star. You are plotting against mankind and trying to overthrow Star Sky University. You need to come out and stand trial. You need to go to the military court. Jiang Haichao sneered. He was eager to try. As soon as Jiang Haiyang gave the order, he would capture Hong Heiyu. Jiang Haichao, are you crazy? Biting people like a mad dog? Hong Heiyu couldn't tolerate it. He raised his eyebrows and scolded back. Hong Heiyu, you've lived long enough. Jiang Haichao was furious. He moved his hands, and lightning crackled on his fists. He was about to attack. How long has it been since you entered the meditative level? How much experience do you have? You're so shallow, and you dare to be so presumptuous in front of me. Do you believe that I will kill you right now? Come on, let me see what you have up your sleeves. Hong Heiyu didn't care at all. Kill. Jiang Haichao was about to rush out. Some people felt his murderous intent and moved away. Wait. Jiang Haiyang waved his sleeves. Haichao, wait a moment. If they admit to their crimes, I will only send them to the military court. If they don't, then they're just resisting. All the marshals here can kill them. Marshal Goliath, Marshal Gustin, what do you think? As he spoke, he looked at the Western marshals. One of them was Goliath. He had suffered a huge loss from Jiang Li and was worried that he wouldn't be able to take revenge. He immediately went up and laughed coldly. Jiang Li, Hong Heiyu has indeed committed a heinous crime. He must be sent to the military court. However, if they hand over the insectoid technology and all the secrets, we can extract their power and turn them into ordinary people. They won't be able to harm the human world, and we can let them live. That makes sense. The Western Marshal Gustin, who was with Goliath, also nodded. He wore a white robe and had a cross around his neck. He seemed to be a priest. These two Chinese are very bad. I can feel the evil aura in the depths of their souls. They aren't human. They have been possessed by demons and must be exorcised. This Marshal Gustin was even more vicious. The moment he opened his mouth, he said that Jiang Li and Hong Heiyu weren't humans from Earth. Their souls have been possessed by creatures from other planets. When Jiang Li heard this, he was furious. These people were obviously looking for trouble. They were making things up and twisting the truth. Jiang Li, Hong Heiyu, did you hear that? Jiang Haiyang stood with his hands behind his back. Admit to your crimes now and hand over all the secrets. You can still be spared from death. Otherwise, even I won't be able to save you. Kneel, Jiang Haichao shouted. Jiang Xinyue looked at Jiang Li coldly. She wanted to see how he would resolve this. Although she and Jiang Li had fought side by side to kill the giants, and the hatred between them had lessened a bit, Jiang Li was still an enemy of the Jiang family. As long as it was someone from the Jiang family, she would kill them as soon as possible. Now, Jiang Haiyang was taking advantage of the situation to oppress them. You can always find a way to frame someone. Jiang Li suddenly took a step forward. Everyone knows that the Jiang family and I are irreconcilable enemies. Jiang Haiyang, you took advantage of the great migration of Earth's humans today to eliminate dissidents. Such a person still wants to run for president? Why? When Jiang Haiyang heard this, he restrained his murderous intent. However, everyone knew that the more he restrained his murderous intent, the stronger it would be. You don't want me to run for president? You don't even deserve to be a marshal with your magnanimity. Jiang Li didn't look at him. Instead, he looked at Walunga. Brother Walunga, the Red Emperor Corporation has already cooperated with the Huaxia Corporation. You won't let the Jiang family bully me, right? Walunga seemed to have something he couldn't say. However, he looked away. General Jiang Haiyang, this matter hasn't been decided yet. However, Marshal Jiang Li isn't your subordinate. He's Mr. Situ Belong's colleague. They're both members of the Special Affairs Unit. The Special Affairs Unit is in charge of investigating aliens. If Marshal Jiang Li is an alien, Situ Bolong should be the one to report it to the president. The president should order a thorough investigation. When something happens to a marshal, it should be investigated by the president. Then, the Congress will make a decision. General Jiang Haiyang, isn't that too much? It had to be said that Walunga's words were reasonable. This wasn't a matter of brute courage or fighting each other. It was a matter of law and reason. Even Jiang Haiyang couldn't refute him for a moment. After a few seconds of silence, Jiang Haiyang waved his hand again. This is a critical period. I have the highest authority to command the Earth's migration this time. If the marshals under me don't listen to my orders and disrupt the human migration plan, tens of billions of humans will die. For the sake of the overall situation, I have the authority to deal with some dangerous matters. For example, the Zerg invasion or the aliens being spies. That's too much. Situ Bolong saw that Jiang Haiyang still didn't want to let Jiang Li go. He couldn't stand the Jiang family's behavior and said, right now, everyone is working together to deal with humanity's greatest enemy. We need to safely migrate the people of Earth. That's the bigger picture. The migration hasn't even started yet. What kind of internal strife is this? I think that if someone starts internal strife now, it's probably because he's a spy from another planet. Situ Bolong, do you want to go against the Jiang family? Jiang Haichao roared. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.